I think it's more important to stop what the Alliance is doing than not fighting Orb. Yeah, you know, people worked to death in an Alliance slave camp aren't coming back tomorrow either. This is fucking stupid. Comments like that is what got me all hating all the other Gundam shows. Hey everybody, welcome back to another Stoneface Reactions. I'm Theta, this is Lessons, and we are back with another episode of Mobile Suit Gundam Seed Destiny. Now, normally what we would do is we would hop into comments, right? But I think what we're going to do here is we're going to make a change to the structure of the episodes as we do them. I'm going to explain this here. What normally happens is that we read the comments, and the comments say a thing like, hey, about this episode, this, and this, and then we'll go, oh, we've got notes about that. We'll address that later. Seems to me that we're wasting time by not, talking about it there. So the simpler package would be, we do all of our stuff first, then address the comments after that, and then get into the episode. Because that way, if they talk about something in their comment, be like, oh yeah, we just talked about that, not a for the future thing. So, that said, I think the first thing to do here would be the board. Well, first off, we have the board changelog, which is my thing now. Added a red line between Stella and Hein, obviously. Marked Hein as dead. Added a red line between Owl and Kira. Added a red line between Stella and Kira. Added a red line between Hein and Kira. Added a white line between Ramius and Talia. Past scene, I forgot to connect them. Remember they had a conversation in the hangar back at Orb?
Yeah, the passing of the torch, although now that the Archangel is back, I guess
added a green line between Haw and Kira. Added a green line between Haw and Kigali. Added a green line between Haw and Atherin.
Now, this, you say unknown. Would that just now be the Archangel faction?
Is that a faction?
But they're acting like one.
Well, I mean, that's why they're in a box. Because, well...
Although Merilia, I have notes about her. So
I mean, they're connected by a line denoting that they're all together. One solid green line connects them all.
Yeah.
I don't know. I do not know. Because it's not like the, I don't know if you coined it, or if it was said in the show, the Three Ships Alliance.
I claimed that. Well, I came because I was doing research on all the way back when I was doing the research on the characters to fill that one list, because I can remember half of the characters, and the name came up like, oh, this is about the Three Ship Alliance. Like, oh, okay, which makes sense because there were 3 ships in the alliance. It's pretty straightforward.
Well, I mean, because independently, it's just the Orb ships and the Archangel.
Yeah.
Sorry, not the Orb ships. The stolen Zaft ship and Orb ship and the Archangel.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, I guess if that's it for the board, then we're on to notes. And since you know that I have the penchant for just interrupting you out of the blue, why don't you go first?
Okay. Let's go to chapter or phase 23 for those keeping score at home. This one is a biggie. And we talked about this in the episode, but I think it's worth repeating. Had Kigali used her father's words, reminding everyone of Orb's non-interference policies. We will not interfere in someone else's, other countries, and they were not allowed to interfere with us. We will not invade other countries, and we will not allow them to invade us. It would have had a bigger impact, even if Juna later called her bluffed. After all, it's Orb's core principle. It's core principle after core principle, and something that many sacrifice their lives to protect. It must be in the mind or minds of every pilot and sailor on the scene, especially their commanders. As she done so from the safety of the Archangel, even before the Freedom had entered combat, there was a good chance that Minerva would not have activated the townhouse of cannon.
I mean, it's debatable.
I mean, I think it would have. And have another note about a meta note about whether they have worked or not. But I think it would have been the better approach, rather than I get in my Gundam, start shouting at people, "Stop! I am Kigali," and like, who knows? We don't see you.
I would argue that the better approach would have been not getting kidnapped and then being a viable source of leadership from the inside of your own country.
But she wasn't a viable source of leadership inside the country.
She could have developed as a leader.
I
think the problem is that I've got future notes that shit all over Kira for the same thing that you're saying now, except that Kira says it in universe. So,
she was a prisoner of the what's her name? Yuna's last name. Oh, I don't care his name. No. His family, basically.
Sarens? The Sarens?
Yeah, the Sarens, yeah.
Point of view. It's point of view.
I mean, no, literally, the housekeeper tells her, like, no, they kept her in her house. She can't do anything. It's set in show by her.
The debate there is the fact that people still listen to her outside of the Sarens. That's why they were keeping her kind of in the household, but they can't keep her in the household the whole time because they're required essentially to make her publicly known. Otherwise, their authority wanes without her presence. So that's why she shows up in locations or smile, they're looking at the cameras. All of that is required, so she can't be completely held down. At the same time, people fucking respond when she talks. It's the fact that she doesn't have the presence of will to exert her authority at that time. When Yuna's like, stop playing games, we gotta do this, and then everybody in the control room is looking at her for instructions. She's bending to the will of others, despite the fact that she does have the authority. So, that's why I said it's debatable. If she had, gotten a backbone at any point, she could have changed everything.
But she didn't. So on to your first point then.
I'm going to skip over my first thought and just jump halfway down the list to say my note that is kind of the same as yours. I'm still docking Uzumi -10 leadership points for blowing himself up and leaving his relatively inexperienced daughter as the nation's representative, but I will hand it to him that the flashback speech we got for him was great. Really ticked all the boxes in the inspirational speech column. The country really could have used another one of those. Shame he blew himself up.
I mean, that's kind of Kigali's failure, that he remembers, and in the scene, she's remembering what her father's saying, and she's just crying as opposed to, I get it's emotional. It's her adopted father blew himself up, and that's traumatic. So, okay, it fits. But any other character, I think, would have been like, oh, this is what my father said, ergo, I'm going to use that.
My argument, though, still falls that I don't think it would have played well to the scene that she was in. That's something that should have been said back at the home front. Uzumi was not a Gundam pilot. He would not have been out here. He would have been saying that back home. Would have been great if he would have been alive, but he chose to blow himself up so that Earth forces wouldn't have captured the facilities. I don't know. It's dumb.
Okay, so my second point. Silly Shadows of War. I wonder where the rest of the SAF forces are. Why is Minerva fighting without support? I went over the video and I don't recall them saying, oh, hey, we're stationed somewhere else, or we don't have enough forces. They're they just send the Minerva out and that's it.
The concern, if you remember back to, God, I can't remember the name of the base or the guy. The concern was that there might be a joint Earth Forces operation to take out a number of zaft bases. So that's what they're doing in this area. But it might be that those zaft forces are then still locking down those bases.
A little support would have gone a long way, especially if you have to face such a massive fleet. After all, if you lose your most powerful weapon, then oops.
I don't know that that's the most powerful weapon.
I mean, do they have anything equivalent to the Minerva?
Whatever
And the
they shot
Gundams?
down all the nukes with was pretty damn powerful.
Yeah, but that's not on Earth. We haven't seen it on
That's
Earth.
in space,
And
but literally you think it might be able to hit Earth from space. So,
yeah.
I don't know. Like I said, I don't know. There's a lack of information on our side due to the fact that, like, Atherin just gets handed the Savior, right?
Yeah.
We didn't have any information that the Savior was built, that it was there. So, the Zakus are apparently a new breed. The Gundams from Armory 1 that got stolen were just made. Even back to Season 1 with the Freedom, it was just there to be given away. We never have any idea what is in, literally, the Armory.
Yeah.
Hell, the Minerva is just basically another version of... What was Lacus's ship called?
I don't remember.
Well, remember, Lacus stole her ship from Zaft as well. So Minerva is just a secondary version of that ship. Mm-hmm. So even
based
then,
on the Archangel technology, yeah.
Well, I'm just saying, well, I don't know. Because the Archangel itself was based on the Orb ship that was in the Three Ships Alliance. Because I'm just saying that they always have something. So it's no way to tell. Alright, well, I don't write my shit in the order that you write yours. So mine is going back to the last episode, to the very end, because it was when I wrote this. So at the end of last episode, we saw an abandoned Earth Forces research laboratory filled with bodies and tubes. We've been banding about the word clone for a long time now. I've done breakdowns of the openings and endings multiple times now, but I want to point out something again due to this new information point. During the opening theme, there is a scene of Durandal in the background with what seems to be a ton of vats and a screen with what looks like a heartbeat monitor. Additionally, in that scene's foreground are Rey and Neo crossing each other. The very next scene is Ramius looking shocked and pointing a gun at what seems to be Neo, with his face obscured, but his mask on the ground. Neo is also crossed by Ramius and Rey in the ending credits. The thing that throws me off is the fact that it's an Earth Forces research base, because everything I have wants me to connect this to Durandal's touted DNA expertise. My shot in the dark here is this. Mu Laflaga was a war hero, according to the Artemis episodes of the first season. What if, at the very end of the war, they tried to clone their best soldier? What if Neo and Rey are Mu Laflaga clones? That is why Ramius looked so shocked, since Mu is dead, and Rey was, I don't know, rescued by Durandal? I think I connected those two together. I meant to say the look that Rey has when he looks at Durandal. Maybe that's because he was rescued by Durandal from, say, a thing like this. That's why he looks so elated when he sees him. Durandal's either the person that woke him up, or he sees him as a father for that reason, or it's just his savior.
I have a note about that, which
probably be the last of your notes, I feel like.
Yeah, will be the last of my notes. Because there's something about what is in those tanks, which I pay close attention to how they reacted, which is important. But
well, again, it's the fact that Rey is shocked by seeing it, and that's why I'm putting out the idea that maybe Durandal saved him from this. That's why he has that look on his face during the dinner episode.
Yeah.
But I'll say this. I don't think Rey looks like Mu Laflaga, but
no. Clones
don't actually have to look like one another, I don't imagine. But he's a DNA expert. Maybe he changed his face. I don't know. That's my shot in the dark, though. Maybe Neo and Rey are Mu Laflaga clones. Because, again, I think the openings and endings are telling us something.
This is my shit on Yuna comment that I always have to do whenever he's around. But it's particular because he says something that struck me as like, what are you saying? Union's question on which side is the Archangel is rather stupid, considering he ordered Orb forces to attack it and Kagali's Gundam after calling them traitors. Shows he's also the kind of bully that is ready to attack someone but cowers when somebody else strikes back, even if the Archangel deliberately fires so as not to destroy Orb ships.
He says that after they fire their shots across Zaft's bow. I mean, the Minerva's bow. So he's asking which side are they on? If they're like, why are they shooting towards them if they're fighting us?
He says that after the Archangel shoots at 2 Orb ships and the ships sort of, they don't get hit. They kind of surf away, and he goes like, "What are they? What on this side are they?"
One thing, agree to disagree. So let's not argue when he said it because we're disagreeing on that already. Let's just point out the fact that maybe both things happened and then he said it. How about that?
I know what he said. It's just the timing. It's important.
Right. But we're not going to agree. So either we can just not agree on that now, or because I don't know how we move on from this debate.
We leave it to the comments.
All right.
If they're willing to pick it up. The next point.
Just a consideration, but if Earth forces are so weakened at the moment that the inclusion of Orb's military can shift the balance of power, as Waltfeld said, so I'm quoting Waltfeld on that, then that would seem to indicate that Orb has the might to push back against Earth forces' domination. I understand that the sentiment is to prevent a fight that would spill over into the homeland like it did during the last war, but all things being equal, it feels like the military might give them a better seat at the negotiating table to encourage the Earth forces not to open up a third front that could potentially be just as strong as all the others. I mean, it would in a rational circumstance anyway. Otherwise, it seems like the Earth forces like to operate in the realm of limited diplomacy and just instead attack.
Well, it's more from Orb's position, I think. And I think the reason is that the Yuna and his father, they might be Blue Cosmos or be sympathetic to it. So the whole thing, they're going to attack us and we're vulnerable and all that, even though the situation changes. Because Yuna goes out of his way, it's like, oh, yeah, we're going to send our forces forward. We're going to do this. We're going to do that, right? He was, bootlicking. The moment he stepped on Neo's ship, he started licking his boots. Like, oh, my God, you're the best thing ever, right? We're going to do this. We're going to do that. There's a comment about Neo says, well, they're still fighting for something, blah, blah, blah. But I get the feeling that that's just him, bullshitting, right? Explain to the captain why they're doing this. Because to me, it's like, if we have the strength, right? Either they don't believe that they have the strength to do that, maybe because they don't have deep reserves or something like that. So they have initial power, but once the forces are destroyed, they don't have anything to back it up. So that could be a situation where conceivably the Earth Federation could keep pumping out, mechs and people in a long-range fight, right? They could keep fighting while Orb cannot do that. Or and therefore the real fear is that Orb will be overwhelmed eventually. If the Air Federation actually wins the war, then they would settle scores with Orb later on, right? And after they build up a huge force, right, to defeat the plants, Zaft and the plants. But on the other hand, I think Yuna and his father, they are Federation sympathizers. I think they think in similar ways, and so that's why they're so eager to join with the Federation. Because otherwise, it makes equal or greater sense, especially after Zaft neutralized the nukes, right? To say, well, we're gonna be friendly to Zaft. We're not gonna join them, but we're gonna keep open diplomatic connections with them. So that if something happens, well, we have Zaft in our pocket, right? If they're really talking about survival and not just, because that was the argument. Oh, we have to join the Federation or they're going to kill us, right? So,
I mean, my problem with all of that is that we've already discussed all of that in the past, that the Sarans might be the remnants of the people that kowtailed to the first Earth invasion. That they're sympathizers, but that they're I've asked you this. I feel like 3 to 4 times.
Plants?
No,
Puppets?
no, real world.
Collaborators?
Vichy, the Vichy government.
Collaborators, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I said. We've discussed this before.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. On to your next point.
That was my point.
Oh.
That's how little you're paying attention. Or the fact that your response was longer than my comment.
Oh, that was your comment? Okay, I was talking about you, but anyway.
No,
Kigali,
that was my the Earth Force.
Yeah, I was responding to your thing. Yeah. This one is short. It's more meta than anything else. Kigali was bound to fail due to the fact that this is episode 23 out of 50.
No. I think you're pulling a meta card out here, and the meta card is that the first half of these shows doesn't typically tell you who the main villain is going to be, and that you can defeat the halfway boss and still be presented the main antagonist. Patrick Zala was not the main antagonist the entirety of the show, the first season.
No.
He came about nearest the halfway point, when he supplants Siegel Klein as the chairman of the zaft. So, and then he only really goes crazy with the whole genocide thing in the latter half. Yeah. So you apply that rule to this season of the show. She could have been successful, and then something else comes along, like whatever's being revealed to us at the end of last episode.
Yeah.
So you didn't have.
It's a bit of a joke. It's a bit of a joke. I mean, just make a meta reference.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Though, is it doesn't have it does it. To be funny, I think it has to be true.
It's not true.
No, it is not true. You're saying she had to fail because we're not far enough into the show for her to succeed, and I'm saying we're not far enough into the show for the real threat to have been proven yet. So she doesn't have to fail yet. The same way that, Shin and them beat the cannon in the canyon. They didn't have to lose because the show isn't far enough along yet. It's just, if there's a rule to, how many. You remember back in Legends of Galactic Heroes, is the guy who wins and then loses twice. Yeah, there's no rule like that to how the pendulum has to swing here.
Anyway, to your next point.
Neo's threat of things could get rather sticky for you and your nation is a rather difficult one to sort your way through if you are a rational person, let alone someone like Yuna. In the present, Orb has no Gundam-level mobile suits on its side to defend itself with in the current battle, should it decide to withdraw from the conflict. And the Earth forces choose to make an example of them. Additionally, I have no idea how much of the Orb force is out here on this expeditionary mission, but last we saw, there were Earth force fleets near the Orb homeland. You could be responsible for a retaliatory assault on your people that you would be ill prepared for should you choose to disobey. As easy as it is to disagree with Yuna's choice, it might well be the right one for the current situation. Granted, they wouldn't be in that situation if not for him and his father, but you play with the hand you're given and not the one you want.
It's a self goal, basically.
Well, if you ignore the ranting that he does in the middle about that's not really her, besides I'm her husband, don't you think I know who she is? You get rid of all that shit in the middle, he doesn't make the wrong choice, I don't think. You don't want to be this element here, you fucking up here, being the reason that your home gets assaulted while you're not there.
I mean, he didn't have to be with the fleet. He was showboating. He's like, I'm going to be in the fleet because,
that doesn't matter to this. I'm just saying the choice. The choice made to the threat given. Neo says, you fuck up here, you're going to fuck up back there. And it's like, oh, shit. Now I'm personally responsible for what happens to my people.
think it was more scared that he literally would get attacked from both sides, because he would be sandwiched between the Minerva and its mobile suits and the Earth Force.
Well, again, though, I'm indicating more the geopolitical situation, less so
I get it.
His present situation. But that's what I meant by they have no Gundams. The orb has no Gundam on site. So, both at home and here, they'd be fucked if a Gundam showed up.
Oh, they had a Gundam, and then somebody shot at Kira, so...
No, technically they never had a Gundam. The closest thing they had to a Gundam was the original Freedom that they rebuilt for Mulaflaga, which then got destroyed. Orb never had a Gundam. They had mobile suits. They're the second... No, they don't have a Gundam.
No, they have the capability to build a Gundam, I think.
Arguably anyone that can build a mobile suit can build a Gundam, I guess.
Well,
but
weren't the original Gundams built using orb technology? That's what
orb company built them.
Said. Yeah, Kigali said.
No, an orb company with Earth government. Well, Earth government kind of forced their hand to build them. I guess, okay, technically is the best way to be right. You're right. But they've never really
invested in it.
Well, no, it's not that they haven't. They did. They did on a colony that got destroyed, Heliopolis. But it's just that it's never really been in their hands, right? It'd be like if America built a bunch of Gundams, but then before even like a pilot got in them, they were immediately stolen. It's like, well, I guess technically we had them.
Yeah,
they were never really ours, though.
Yeah, but that means that if this is such a powerful weapon, you would think you would build... well, I guess Kigali...
They were building it for the Earth government, though, so it was never really theirs. It's like, does the factory own... Well, at what point does the factory own what it's making?
What Kigali, it has a Gundam. Where does that Gundam come from? That's orbs.
Morgan wrote.
Yeah.
So I'm answering your question, where does it come from? I'm assuming it's still coming from Morgan wrote. Is that a Gundam? I guess. Are the Zaku's Gundams?
No, because it's
weird question if you ask that with no context. Because are the Zaku's Gundams? Because if I ask a Mobile Suit Gundam fan that, they're going to say no. But I'm like, aha, seed.
But it is a Gundam because it has the reflective armor system that the Gundams have. Like literally, when it turns pink, it's because it's activating its armor.
Does it turn pink or does it launch pink?
No, it turns pink. Literally, both of them, the Freedom and her, they launched from the Archangel.
Okay. Argument is that that's no longer an Orb Gundam, though.
It was theirs, and they developed it.
Isn't. Orb no longer owns it. And the fact that they have disowned Kigali, the real Kigali, as being Kigali, implies that it's no longer, with them.
Yeah. Well,
and it's just another Gundam aboard the Archangel.
But I would actually blame Kigali because Kigali was against arming up and said, "Oh yeah, we'll arm up Orb again, but we won't build Gundams." Because
that's never been a choice that anyone's made. We're never building Gundams. The Gundam production thing has just been, again, just the same way Armory 1. They're just things that appear in the background. No, I was going to say that Rose or Rogue, I can't ever remember. Hasn't been an Orb Gundam since season 1.
Yeah. Because so my point is, Orb could have built Gundams, but they chose not to build Gundams, and that's why they're in this position.
We also don't know what's involved. This is a whole thing. The fact that Zaft just keeps building Gundams and nobody else does, except for apparently the 6 that Earth Forces. Well, 3, the original 3 that Earth Forces has. That we don't really still know where they came from.
Anyway, to my next point and the last one of Shadows of War. Hein, as I say in the episode, we hardly knew ye. Also, yes, Theta, you were right. Stella accelerating to Hein's back. As he not tried to backstab Kira, Stella would not have backstabbed him. Like she literally says, "Get out of my way," and accelerates. Cuts him in half. He's like, what? And, he kept detects what's going on the attack and then get cut in half. And,
yeah, because he drifts down and then she says, "Get out of my way," and then goes faster. I don't know what I'm right about, though.
Because I was saying, no, I didn't. Because I was saying, oh, she jumped with the momentum, blah, blah. He's like, no. She literally accelerated into him. Like, so Theta was right.
Okay, I don't remember us even having a debate about it, though, so...
No.
The only thing I remember saying is that she should have carried on into Kira because she's approaching him. She accelerates.
She was, but Kira turns around and literally kicks her in the head and sends it back.
Oh, flying. Right. I remember that because I thought it was super stupid because I was on a Kira hate kick at the moment.
Yeah, and literally, Kira kicked.
Well, no, because of how self-important and self-righteous Kira is. And I was writing a bunch of shit about that we haven't gotten to yet. So
yeah. So to your next point.
Neo's current command ship is listed as the CV-133R JP Jones, according to the computer readout after Yuna claims that Kigali is a crazy person. The CV in its designation denotes that it's a carrier. I would assume that JP Jones refers to John Paul Jones, an American naval officer during the Revolutionary War, and often referred to as the father of the American Navy.
Yep.
Now, to follow into my next 15 paragraphs about the history of JP Jones.
That's it. But basically, if Orb is Japan, then the Federation is the United States, basically. That's, they unmistakably so. The president is in charge. Well, Logos is in charge, but, he's the person on the ground, right? So there you go.
Well, remember, this used to be the Atlantic Federation, which was run by the North America.
Yeah. So, next point. Now we go to chapter 24 or phase 24, different views.
In your notes, anyway.
In my notes, anyway. Even Kira's vaunted ability to disable his enemies was not enough to save the lives of the Minerva's crew that died when he took out the Minerva's main gun. In other words, yes, he was trying to disable the Minerva in order to save lives, but we clearly shown body bags that came from the Minerva that had to have been either died when the Minerva Tauhauser cannon exploded, or trying to save the Minerva from the fire and everything else happened.
Yeah, I was about to say, I know it was my point that I brought up during the episode that he probably killed people when the thing exploded, but I was also about to debate you for the fact that Minerva was in a combat scenario and those people could have just died during the combat.
Well, we don't see any major hits to Minerva except for that one. We see near explosions and all that, but we don't see any.
I don't know. Dude under the water is firing torpedoes at them constantly.
Those get intercepted. So
we saw more get fired than intercepted. I'm just saying we don't see every element of the combat. When we pan away at the end of that episode, there's so much destruction in the water behind them, and we don't see all of that happen.
I mean, but most of them are supposed to be like the falling pieces of all the mobile suits that got destroyed in the air, right?
Yeah, right. But I'm just saying, can you account for that? All of it?
Yeah. And Heinz, who got cut in half. Next point?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was just drifting off trying to think about a joke about tapping the bottom of a Heinz bottle when you need to. And the fact is, Heinz is also, there's a lot going on there. In fact, it's too much. The field's too fertile for a joke.
Bloody red.
Yeah, see, it's another element. The whole Kira intervention thing seems entirely designed to destroy the character of Kigali. At the start of the episode, we flash back to a bridge discussion about how Kigali did a bad job leading, and if she had stayed behind, she probably wouldn't have stopped any of this from happening anyway. And Kira was the one leading that sentiment. Essentially, he pushed her towards doing all of this, and when she did, he was the first one to shoot the Minerva. Then, when they ignore her orders, Kira was the first one to tell Kigali that talking won't solve this. He set her up for failure. He doesn't seem frustrated that talking didn't work either. He says, rather matter-of-factly, how it's unfortunate that talking isn't going to work. Imagine back to Season 1, how frustrated Kira would have been at everyone's lack of understanding. This Kira seems cold.
I mean, I think he was also in the middle of seed mode as well, when he gets all logical and focus. But then we've seen him in seed mode. We started raking mad as well. So
well, we've seen Shin in seed mode go.
Yeah,
I'm just saying, this Kira, he sets Kigali up for failure. I'm going to cover this more, I think, in another note of mine about how Kira is too self-important and that he keeps stepping in front of Kigali when Kigali is the most important person in the scene.
Yeah.
I think maybe I'm pushing towards an argument that maybe Kira is both sexist and racist. I do have I think my last thought is literally about how Kira is racist. So, I mean, but there's an element that he keeps getting in front of Kigali when Kigali is the one who should be talking.
So my next point goes back to Hein. I feel like Hein died to remind us that the stakes, but since he was such a flash in the pan character, I never really cared for him, except for to doubt why he was there to begin with.
Hein is Rambo Roll.
Except Rambo Roll had
3 episodes.
Did more. Did he?
Yeah. If it wasn't for Origin, I don't know that I would have cared about him at all. But also, he literally says the whole Itazaku line that Rambo Roll says during the episodes.
Yeah.
When he appears in a goof and Hein appears in a goof. Yeah. He's 1-for-1 Rambo Roll. It's just he doesn't have a significant other.
No, well, here's the thing. Rambo Roll actually had multiple fights against the Gundam, had a talk with Amuro, right?
If you think Atherin is Amuro, then he has the talk.
Yeah. I don't know. Rambo Roll was better written overall. I'm
not saying that he's equivalent to Rambo Roll. I'm just saying he is Rambo Roll.
Well, if you're saying that he is, then
in the same way that you say that Sex Marquise is Char.
Oh. Yeah, no, not the same. No. Okay. The way I'm going to square this circle is he's filling the role of Rambo Roll and doing it poorly.
Just saying it's the same line.
But yeah, I cared about Rambo. I think if I watched 79 without seeing Origin, I think Rambo Roll would at least made more of an impact on me because he had an impact on the story.
Rambo Roll I would have only cared about if without Origin for the melee combat episode, because that does more for him than I understand, before we get off track here, I understand that the whole, hey, it's Amuro and Rambo Roll in a bar thing, and it shows that a Zeon person doesn't have to be immediately hostile to everyone around them. Sure.
Actually, Wakefield, who's going to survive, is more of a Rambo Roll.
Wallfield.
And Wakefield, yeah.
But I'm just saying that, I was saying that that's a very important scene for a lot of people. Didn't really mean anything to me because Amuro was such a shit back then that it was consuming me. But it's more so Rambo Roll's, I used to carry you as a kid, that little flashback memory during melee combat, which is what really made me like that character more in that show. Waltfield being Rambo Roll? No. Well,
yeah, he has the same speech. He has a speech with them that brings him into the, well, he captures them, but still has that speech about where, combat and all that. So I think the fight also happens in the desert, right? He has the girlfriend that fights with him, sort of.
Well, that would make Waltfield McWeave.
Weave? No, I don't think so.
Yeah, Rambo Roll chases down the Trojan horse with his own base. Waltfield chases down the Archangel with his own base. He has his own established headquarters in a place. I think McWeave has one in the desert. Waltfield has one in the desert. They are the same. They don't have the same motivating factors, but if you put them in the they're the same tactical person. They occupy the same importance to the military story.
I would still say that Hein was a waste of a character. We were supposed to care about him, but yeah, no impact. He just died.
All right.
Anyway,
if
ne-
Waltfield
next
and Ramius really were in a relationship, which is what you proposed early on, I think there would have been more to the scene of Waltfield walking off the bridge to go pilot a mobile suit. Given that Ramius's first boyfriend was a pilot that died, then her second boyfriend, Boo LaFlaga, was a pilot that died. Waltfield becoming a pilot again after just having been a captain of a ship would have been a bit much for her, I'd think. And they literally don't address it at all.
Yeah, I think there might be a budding relationship. I don't think they're to the point where they acknowledge it, but there seems to be hints of that, right? And also the fact that Waltfield also lost his girlfriend fighting Kira of all people.
Again, you're the one that proposed that there was a relationship going on there.
I think
but
that
back
they might
when
be
Moo
something
and
there,
Ramius were becoming together, that's when she pulls out the casket necklace thing that she's got, and then it's like, my first boyfriend who died was also a pilot. She goes through this whole thing, but then Walt feels like, I'm gonna go get in a mobile suit. See ya. And they're like, she smiles. She's just happy. It's like, that doesn't like behoove any, I've got a close tie to this guy. I'm concerned all of a sudden.
Yeah. Now, I'm going to get into my next note, and we're getting to the mysteries of what happened, because I have a lot of questions. Who sent Ray those files? As far as we know, he has no connection to zaft intelligence services or any other intelligence services. He might. Well, we haven't seen any. As far as I know, I haven't noticed. And why did we send it to him if it was zaft? Durandal? He could have sent it to the captain directly. Whoever it was knew that it was linked to Ray direct. It also seems that the information was kicked upstairs and it got laundered by zaft intelligence as a local source. Because when they're debriefing Ray and Chin, Arthur is saying, oh yeah, we got a local source about this space, blah, 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 blah. It was like, and there's literally a flashback of Ray handing the information to the captain. I'm like, wow, well, literally local. He's right there. You can't get more local than that,
I don't think he hands her anything. I think he just goes into her room and gives her a report.
Either way,
Well, here's the thing. I'm going to read one of my notes real quick because I think it refers to the same thing you were talking about. What Ray was up to in the second episode, I'm not sure. We see him go from one room, presumably his quarters, where the computer says he is copying files. He then goes into another room with a large computer where he takes the disk of copied files and inserts them into said computer. On the screen, the only legible text says, update files. We know after that he comes with a mission for them to do. But with just those two scenes, it looks like he's changing the Minerva's computer somehow. I have to wonder if Ray isn't a sleeper agent or something.
For whom? Again,
he's updating the Minerva's computer, it looks like. It seems wholly unrelated to the mission that they go on, because he then goes and just talks to Talia. He doesn't come with a computer report or says, hey, check the messages. He copies a file off of what seems like his room and then updates the Minerva computer, which is tying into the first half of what you're talking about your comment.
Could he also be under the influence of that memory modifying or erasing technology?
But that's Earth forces. Again, this is what I talked about with my big note about the last part, about what ties Durandal to this Earth Force facility for how Ray is reacting. And also, to my point about Ray possibly being a sleeper agent, he has one attitude most of the time. Then he sees Durandal and he falls into a completely different attitude. And I'm not talking about like a person who just like, oh, I'm happy now and now I'm sad or whatever. I feel like there's two different Rays at play here. And the Ray who is just like, I'm going to stay on the ship. No, I don't care about anything. Luna Maria tells me about what things were like at the Academy. Okay.
Yeah, I don't care.
Two different Rays at play. And I feel like the Ray that's breaking down right now is the same Ray who's happy to see Durandal. That there's a facade at play.
Okay, you said that, Porto. This is a comment about the whole, hot bath thing. Well, the Archangel was an alliance ship. design. It was clearly got I mean an orb redesign. How else you explain the mini onsen aboard? One with Mount Fuji painted on the bulkhead, no less. Because Kira is on his, actually it's like a hot tub, not even an onsen, it's a hot tub. And then you have the other scene with
so it's a fake hot
real Lacus. Yeah. Literally, there's a Mount Fuji in the back. There's stones. There's a little. Each one of them has like one of the square lanterns, right? They're supposed to be like gas lanterns, but mostly electric because there's not a ship. And even the doors, the separation of men and women is that those curtains that say man, woman, in Japanese, in kanji. So it's like either that wasn't seen in the movies. Was it seen in the original series?
No, I didn't make a note about this at all either, but I thought it was really stupid because I thought about this, like, imagine being like the military contractors putting like the layout of the ship together and like, okay, just imagine like you're a subcontractor, right? I don't know what company is known for making American subs, but very compact. You've got like no room for any extra anything. Everything, every inch, every little weight and measure has to be accounted for. You want a hot springs? Like what?
Well, it might actually be based on Russian sub design because I think the Akula, which is a ballistic missile submarine, actually has like a hot tub inside the sub.
Oh, it's a wonder who's beating who in the race for the Atlantic or the Pacific.
So your next note then.
Also, just a note, the Archangel butt its head into the battle, fought and destroyed lots of stuff, and instigated more trouble, and didn't hang around to talk to anyone at the battle's end. Like, not a single communication from anyone not named Kigali about anything. If there was a point to them being here, beyond just stopping Orb, then why not make that declaration? I have to assume they were assuming a greater purpose here, for Kira to have gone into seed mode and engaged forces on both sides until one retreated. Otherwise, everything was pointless. People still fought, people still died. If there was a greater cause for Archangel, people left that battlefield still asking themselves why that ship was even there.
I agree, 100%. Anywho, to my next point. And this goes to Luna Maria. Is Luna Maria acting on her own, or was she sent by the captain or someone else to check on Arthur? I know she has a crush on Arthur, but it seems a bit extreme for her for someone acting without orders, right?
Talia Center. Talia Center.
How do we know that?
Oh, we don't. But Talia spends a good portion of the episode staring out a window at rain and storms and whatnot. I think it's pretty clear that she's using her faith abilities to send somebody else on a unlabeled mission. Because also, to what you said, Luna Maria wouldn't... It seems weird that she would just go off on her own, because that would essentially be desertion if she wasn't told to do so. Yeah. Also, where's she getting her resources from? She's renting rooms, she's renting transport, right? She didn't just, like, occupy a hotel room across the street. She's got an intelligence network telling her where Atherin's gone. So, it seems pretty clear to me that Talia is, like, what is at the conversation with Atherin, where she's like, fine, sure, do this, and then she gets somber and has all these staring out window scenes with literally nothing that we've been told expressed in between. I think she's like, Atherin might not be with us anymore. Follow him, figure out what's going on.
Yeah. Good next point.
With the overall message of Seed seemingly to be about the idea of finding peace by getting out of the cycle of hurt people hurting other people, I think the thing we should probably examine then is Atherin. It occurred to me that when he was talking to Talia, he brings up the fact that he was with the Archangel fighting against Zaft forces at Jashin-Du. That seems like a hell of a thing to say as a current zaft member. Even if everyone agrees that zaft was in the wrong at Jashindu, to admit that you fought against the countrymen you currently serve with, possibly killing them, that no one has appeared so far to yell at Athrun or to get revenge for someone he's killed, now that he's in the same faction as them, it just seems like either he managed to not kill anyone at that massive battle, or has generally achieved forgiveness.
Or do they even know that he was a participant in that?
He says that. He says that to Talia during the "I'm going to go find out what the Archangel's up to" conversation. He says to her, "I fought with them." He says, "I fought with the Archangel at the Battle of Jashindu against zaft forces." He specifically says against that. That's why I'm bringing this up. He literally tells her, "I fought against, possibly killed zaft people."
But it depends because, again, his position is a very difficult one. Literally, his last name is Sala, right? There were people in Zaft who were against Sala doing this. I
literally said in this thing, even if everyone agrees that Zaft was in the wrong at Jashindu. I'm saying still, the idea is that I'm a Marine, right? And then I say, yeah, I fought against other Marines and killed other Marines at Iwo Jima. And you're like, you're still current military service, right? Yeah. And like no one's come at you about this, like friends and family of the dead, and you're like, no one. It's like maybe everyone just forgives you. It's like that's what I'm saying. It's like I think if we need to cover what the message of Seed is, the whole hurt people hurt other people, that Athrun is currently living with people who he has actively hurt, and no one has said a thing to him about it. That maybe there's something to be examined therein. That maybe Athrun has achieved it, and we have to figure out what Athrun has done, because the alternative is something stupid, like, I don't know, the show doesn't even think about it, even though some writer wrote it down, that he tells a current Zaft member, hey, I fought and killed Zaft people.
Yeah. Could be the easily forgiven kind of thing, which is kind of...
Except that it can't be easily forgiven. It's the point of everything. That's why we keep seeing people yell. Well, sorry, I'm remembering the movie that we just watched the other day, where people are burning inside their Zakus, screaming out for loved ones. But that's what we also see during Josh A and whatnot.
So much next point. I don't know how to say this name.
Marilia Haw. Yeah, literally my next note is also about Haw, so I knew what you were about to say.
Yeah, seems to be working for a different faction, or at least someone gathering intel on the situation. They say she's an independent reporter.
Yeah, she works for a public newspaper.
Yeah. Since the crew of the Archangel were both surprised and suspicious about her message to them. So I thought we would say, oh, she's working for them, but...
They weren't suspicious of her. No, they weren't suspicious of her. They were suspicious of who she was trying to indicate wanted to meet them. That's why they kept asking, "Who's the Red Knight?"
No, but this was like because they didn't expect to say, "Oh," it's like,
yeah, no, it's not. It's given that it's not like something that she does often. She's not like constantly contacting them, but they're like, "Oh, that's Marilia." That's like,
but then they say could be someone. Could be somebody else, like, and then.
They were suspicious that maybe she had been co-opted, like maybe she got captured, and the communications that she was aware of how to do, somebody else had done. Their suspicion wasn't about Marilia. Their suspicion was that somebody else figured out what Marilia does.
Yeah. Your next point.
When the Archangel gets Haw's communication, everyone turns to Kira and asks what they should do. I understand that back at the Lacus assassination attempt, it was on him to decide whether the Freedom should be launched or not. But at what point did everyone start turning to him to decide everything? The message was directed at the Archangel, not specifically at Kira. I'd imagine that Waldfield and Ramius were still commanding the ship, if not for this turn. But maybe I'm forgetting something. Either way, it certainly pushes that the whole Kira is in charge and can't be wrong narrative further.
Yeah.
You're
I
a
mean,
bunch
that
of
happened
adults
before also.
you're two adults in a room full of teenagers. Why are you turning to Kira? You're literally the commander of the ship from the start, or not the start of the war, but the start of the story to now.
Yeah. But I think it's all this started with the attack, trying to kill Lacus, and then once Kira said, "I'm going to launch a freedom," then yeah, we're going to deploy. So it's on his initiative. So they're like, "Oh, we're playing your playbook."
Well, no, they decided to launch the Freedom, but then the other group, Waltfield and Ramius and them, decided to launch the Archangel. It was only about
freedom.
Well, about going off and getting out of here and doing whatever. The only impetus about the Freedom was if Kira was going to get back into the cockpit again. That's why we locked it away. It's why we didn't tell you about this. That was that. The Archangel and shit had nothing to do with that other than we'll support him if he's going to do this. But you as a ship is a group of people supporting one guy. That one guy doesn't make the decisions for the ship that's supporting him.
I suppose it would if it's... I mean,
if you think about this, if you were like a soccer team, right? The soccer player doesn't determine the direction that the support club backing him goes. The support club makes its own decisions. The soccer player plays soccer. Kira pilots a Gundam. He doesn't make the decisions for the ship that supports him. The ship makes its own decisions.
Apparently not.
Well, now. Apparently not now. But vis-a-vis, this still only refers to last episode.
Yeah. Talking about Gundams, the Savior must have shit sensors not to detect a gyroplane flying within visual range that is following them. You know that Luna Maria basically takes off in a gyroplane to follow the Savior because she spots the Savior. Yeah.
Could be the jammers.
Huh?
Could be the jammers.
You still detect jammers. Which jammers would be
the neutron jammers?
I
mean, this could be a whole element of what can be detected, what can't be detected. Could be so low tech that it's hard to detect.
It's a plane. It's flying. Of course, you can detect it.
Well, it's a gyroplane. It's not like it's the impulse. I mean, it could be that whole Legend of the Galactic Heroes thing, right? Where we get so many varying levels of technology that they can detect a plane flying overhead. They can never fucking detect the dog that we put the message on.
But this is not a dog with wings. This is
we don't know what the gyrocopter is made of. It could be literally like plastic material, and they're out there trying to detect like metal or space-age polymers.
Yeah, it's a shit excuse. Basically is...
Well, to be fair, I don't have a note about it because I didn't get to be low notice. Here's the thing. I was recently reading a note about the movie that we just watched yesterday, and the fact that McQueeve isn't killed in the movie is because Tamino thought it was beneath notice. Right? It's the only reason. I guess he's still dead, but Tamino thought the McQueeve character was so far beneath notice, we don't even have to kill him in the movie.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
That's what I think about this. I understand that your thing is like the whole censor thing in the future that, hey, maybe we can just sneak up on the Archangel in a gyrocopter now. But for me, nah.
Anyway, to your next point.
When Kira and Kigali do get to talk to Atherin, despite all the talk from Kira about how ineffective Kigali was as a leader of Orb and how she needed to stand up and take charge, the moment she starts talking, Kira puts a hand on her shoulder, says her name, and she goes quiet, stepping forwards to talk himself. I don't know. Maybe don't silence the world leader meeting with her possible fiancé/bodyguard for the first time in forever while she is asking questions about how and why the nation she represents is doing something from the person with the most up-to-date information of everyone here. Especially when you've been shitting on her for not doing what's needed as a leader. I mean, what does Kira have to say that's of more import than getting Orb's chief representative up to date? Or is Kira's relationship with his friend more important than that for some reason?
I think that's what it looked like. It was like, oh, I'm going to talk to my friend right now. This is a man to man talk, right? Coordinator to coordinator. Yes, I need to know,
Again, this is another notch in my belt of Kira might be sexist. It's like he's shitting on Kigali the entire fucking time. And then when Kigali steps up and starts talking, men are talking. Get back here. What the fuck, Kira?
Going back to Luna Maria and her, a spy mission. One thing is for sure, now Luna Maria knows, or at least has reason to suspect, that Mir is not Lacus. Will she deny what she heard or continue to investigate on her own? Will that have any influence whatsoever on what happens next? Because that's a big point that Kira says. Kira's like, yeah, what about Lacus? Lacus is this and that, and I don't trust. Because also says about the attack on Lacus, and I don't trust the plans. Which it's fair. I mean, they tried to kill everybody. I was like, okay, this is suspicious.
You're falling into my. You might be racist. Well, final note.
Oh, he was attacked by coordinators.
I'm not debating you on this fact now. You're gonna have to wait 3 notes till we get there because I'm not reading that one next. I'm just saying I have a whole note about Kira might be racist about the very thing you were agreeing with him on. So
go ahead.
No, I'm not reading that next. I mean, if you still have more to go here on this one.
No, that's it.
Despite all the suspicions we throw about here in our thoughts section, I think it's still a bit foolish to automatically assume that a group of coordinators that tried to assassinate Lacus were operating on behalf of Zaft, especially after the Break the World incident, where we explicitly had coordinators acting against the interest of the plants and Zaft. Until or unless there is evidence to show that either of those groups are connected to Durandal, then one event can be used to show that coordinators are able to act independently in their own groups, no differently than anyone else.
I mean, that's fair. But we also talked about how that was like literally the latest equipment from Special Forces. So
again, though, so does our Earth Forces Gundam users. They've got the latest Zaft equipment too. Doesn't make them, on Durandal's payroll. I'm just saying, until one group is directly connected to Durandal, any of these people could be independent parties.
Okay, my last point. At first, we assumed that Ray's reaction was that they found, I say we because we came to the same conclusion when we were watching it, reacting to what they found in the lab was because he saw copies of himself floating in those tanks. But Shin was there, and by his reaction, he didn't seem to see that. So why did Ray have such a visceral reaction to this place? And did the person who sent them there knew about how he could or would react to it?
Well, there's a couple of things. Well, one, Ray could recognize himself, or Shin might not. Another thing is that to my previous or original, but probably third point that I brought up, the idea that if he was one of these, it might be an instinctual thing.
Maybe memories that he has suppressed.
Yeah, I mean, it could be anything. Or the whole sleeper agent thing I threw out there. There could be so many levels to this. I think we actually need an episode telling us, because
what the hell's going on?
Yeah, because there's so many things we could just guess. I mean, you already guessed the whole memory subversion thing. Literally, so much shit could be at play here that none of it has to do with Shin. Shin's point of view here is that only thing that you already brought up is that he didn't say, "Hey, that's you, Ray." He didn't do anything. And also the fact that if I'm right and that Ray and Neo are Mulaflaga clones, that they all apparently don't have to look like Mulaflaga either.
Anyway, that's all my notes. Take it away.
My last one. Somewhat related to my previous point about Durandal, but I think Kira is displaying some form of racism. A group of coordinators tried to assassinate Lacus, and now Kira doesn't trust the plants until he figures out why. Remember that the plants are the entirety of the coordinator people. Zaft is just the military. He's not saying he doesn't trust the military. He's saying he doesn't trust the nation and everyone in it. He pointed his finger at civilians with that comment and said, "I don't trust them," based on the fact that coordinators attacked them. In this respect, coordinators are a race of people. Not to make this too real, but that's like anyone after 9/11 that said they didn't trust anyone from the Middle East. Signaling out an entire group of people based solely on their race for the actions of a few, that's wrong.
Or their religion. Or their ethnicity. I get that. I mean, if he said zaft.
I think I use race and ethnicity interchangeably.
Yeah. I mean, he is a coordinator himself. But
you can't be racist against yourself, yeah.
Yeah. That might be part of the problem, that he sees himself. He's never recovered from being the super coordinator. And it's like, ugh. Or maybe he's embraced it in a weird kind of way. Like, well, I am special. Right?
Again,
either
it's
way,
the element that he says the plants. He's signaling out the entirety of the coordinator people now.
Yeah. If he had said zaft, or said specifically Durandal, I would be disagreeing with you, but he didn't, so I think that's what he meant, but you got to go with what he said, so.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Sorry, I don't know how to... I want to push this further, but I don't know how to, so I guess I'm not. It's just, Kira is displaying elements throughout this season. Like I said, I think he's a bit sexist. He won't let the woman talk because he thinks his thing is more important. Yeah. And now this was the major... He played a race card, and I didn't like that either. Kira is not playing well for me this season. I know I didn't like him that much the first season, but I don't know. I thought he got better, and now knowing that he got kicked in the nuts every time he had to cry, that also hurts him some points.
I mean, he had a strong motivation to still with the Archangel.
Yeah, he was doing better than Amuro, I felt like, in that, Amuro tried to desert, and he never really tried to desert.
He was there because he wanted to protect the people he cared about, right?
Yeah, and Amuro specifically said during the show, I don't have anyone.
Yeah, but I think the reason why Amuro said this because he felt that he got abandoned by his father and his mother. And, you know.
Fret off with the whole, legged ship full of people that want to.
And forced to fight, right? Because, he did step into the cockpit, but.
Yeah. Kira didn't have to get slapped around. Like I said, I appreciate motivation-wise what they said. I think I even said, well, actually, no, I came to Amuro's defense the first time around. Because I actually timed out how long it took them to make decisions. And it took Kira 4 times as long as it took Amuro to come to the point of, okay, I'll pilot the Gundam. But then again, they have walk and talk conversations in the hallway. Oh, no, they don't have walk and talks. They have walk and stand conversations in the hallway when an emergency is going on.
Yeah. Anyway, those are our points. So those were your points. So I guess we go to comments.
Yep. So first off, we have David Butt from the Patreon from the episode The Shadows of War. These 2 episodes are where I start having a big issue with the show. I completely agree with the way in which Kira and Kigali try to intervene and stop the fight in the episode. Sorry, I think I completely misread that. I completely agree that the way in which Kira and Kigali try to intervene and stop the fight in the episode is completely stupid and ineffective. But the show doesn't seem to realize this. We're completely supposed to think that Kira is in the right, but he's so clearly not. Also, Hein's death will never not be funny to me, especially how the show ends up blaming his death on Kira when it's not. He accidentally drifts into Stella's attack, so it's really because he wasn't paying attention. Hein probably won the popularity poll solely because he's voiced by TM Revolution, which, as I understand, they do the theme songs, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The scene in episode 24 between Atherin, Kira, and Kigali is interesting and has some interesting moments, but I find the conversation really frustrating. I think Atherin is completely right here. They didn't end up stopping anything and just ended up causing complete confusion and got even people killed that might not have otherwise. No, let's just read it the way it's written. He's also completely right that if Kigali wants to stop this, she needs to go back to Orb and reassert her authority. However, I really feel like the show is trying to throw suspicion on Durandal, but doing it really poorly. There has been absolutely nothing other than a few vague looks from Durandal, and the assassination attempt on Lacus, which hasn't even been definitively tied to Durandal, to suggest that he's going to be evil. But while it is suspicious that Lacus was attempted to be assassinated right before the fake Lacus shows up, the show still hasn't revealed whether or not Durandal had any knowledge of it. And Kira doesn't have anything other than vague suspicions that Durandal isn't a good guy. However, we're clearly supposed to be suspicious of him and his intentions because of that, and not because of anything shady or bad he's actually been shown doing, which is what's frustrating.
Yeah, they're crapping the setup, right? They're trying to be too clever and be like, oh, we're not going to show you too much because otherwise, it'll be too obvious and failing, or they're not setting it up properly, period. And they're like, Durandal, unless they're going to do a reversal, they actually, Durandal ends up being like a Klein, gets killed, and someone else comes in, is like, Durandal was trying to save all of you idiots, but I'm the real villain, right?
I mean, I think that would be the reversal, is that Durandal was the good guy, and he was being set up for people like you. He's gritting way too much at the camera. Dude's obviously a bad guy. Like you're going into the murder mystery suspecting the butler, because the butler always does it. But the guy grins all the time. It's fucking him, obviously. That would be the twist. I don't know, Durandal's just a grinner. He just fucking grins. What?
He has a nervous tick, basically.
Well, he's a politician, right? You don't want to seem upset, because when the leader is upset, everyone's going to be upset. So maybe he just smiles all the time because it's easier. All right, next up, Fenrir756 from the Patreon, same episode, Shadows of War. My comments for this episode. That was bad typing on my part regarding my comment on Atherin remembering seeing the 3 Phantom Pain pilots before. I meant to say the episode showed him briefly remembering seeing them in episode 1 when he was going by Alex Dino and he just arrived at the plants.
Yeah, they're floating by and they're sitting in some, in the airport, right? Spaceport, that's it.
They had typed a comment previously that we read that implied that maybe Atherin knew them before the season.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, they're correcting that's not what they meant. A quick rundown on neutron jammers, aka N-jammers. After the nuclear attack on Janus 7, instead of retaliating with nuclear weapons themselves, the Plant Supreme Council instead decided to remove nuclear weapons from the equation by inventing the N-jammer, which prevents a nuclear reaction from occurring. As part of their retaliation against the Earth Alliance, they dropped countless N-jammers from space and had them drilled deep into the ground to also negate the use of nuclear weapons on Earth. But this also prevented the use of nuclear energy, which caused a massive energy crisis. The Justice and Freedom were equipped with N-jammer cancelers, which enabled them to be powered by nuclear reactors. And after the Battle of Orb, Azrael specifically sought to capture these machines because he suspected this. What happened next was that after Ryler Crest was able to obtain the design blueprints for the Freedom and Justice, which included the N-jammer canceller blueprints, he gave the plans to Flay and turned her over to Azrael after convincing her to help him by telling her that the war would end if the Earth forces obtained the data disk. After the Earth forces mass-produced the N-jammer cancellers to be able to use nukes again, and now every faction has access to N-jammer cancellers, so N-jammers are no longer an issue.
Yeah, I remember the movie. It's like, oh, you go give this to whoever, and we're gonna save. And then she's like, oh no, I've been betrayed, and she tries to get away, and then he gets killed by that bastard.
Okay. I think it's fair to say Lacus helped stop the nuking of the plants because it would have been significantly harder for Kira and Athrun to prevent that without using the meteors, which were part of the Eternal, which Lacus stole.
Okay. I don't recall that specifically, but yeah.
Sure. Well, it was during the movies. Would have been the last movie. The Eternal was the name of the ship that we couldn't remember the name of before, and the backpacks are the meteor system that we're talking about. I don't remember having a commentary about this that it required a note. That's why I'm confused.
Yeah.
People often compare Jibril with Asriel from Season 1 in terms of which was a better antagonist when comparing Seed Destiny to Seed Season 1. Well, that's a spoiler. I shouldn't have read that. That implies... Jibril. Sorry. I thought I said Durandal for a second. They say Jibril. Jibril's clearly a bad guy. Never mind, not a spoiler. I apologize. I thought I was in my head. I was thinking Durandal. I was like, wait a second, that confirms he's an antagonist. Never mind.
Now, I remember for the audience, I only saw the compilation movies. So what I got from Asriel was that for the most part, he kept his cool.
Well, you got exactly as much Asriel as there was, basically.
Yeah,
because he really only appears. He gets mentioned during Josh A by Rao, who just says Asriel's a name, no context. Yeah. He really only shows up essentially in the third movie, from what you saw, which is exactly from where he is introduced. Otherwise, Asriel is just a guy that shows up.
Yeah, and he only really loses his cool when he's on the ship. It's like, oh, we gotta destroy the planets. They're gonna kill us all. We gotta press the attack. And when what's her name betrays him, like, oh, I'm gonna take the shot.
I mean, he doesn't lose his cool. He has a point. He says if we retreat now, they'll always be able to point that gun at us. We have to take care of it now or never.
Yeah, and Jibril is like, oh, I'm a cool guy. Oh shit, things are going wrong.
We know what Asriel was up to. We still don't understand really what Jibril's up to.
Jibril is, blue-lipped Jibril.
Zaft is the name of the plant's military forces, and the plant's Supreme Council has both civilian and military members who are elected to it, and they, together with the chairman, are responsible for both running the civilian government and approving major military strategy, like Spit Break in Season 1.
That's something to keep in mind.
Well, it's Lacus who tells us in Season 1 that Zaft is the military, and that she's not a member of Zaft. So it's Lacus who tells or gives us the separation between the civilian government and Zaft. So, irregardless of this comment, Zaft is still the military to me, without civilian. The Supreme Council. Sorry, I insulted the commenter. I didn't mean to. This says the plant Supreme Council has both civilian and military members. So the separation between Zaft and the plants is in the comment. Remember that when Yuna picked up Kigali from seeing her father's grave and was pressuring her into marrying him on the same day Orb joined the Earth Forces, he specifically told Kigali that she needed to keep away from Kira and Athrun because it would be bad for Orb to be so close to coordinators when entering an alliance with the Atlantic Federation.
He also said that they had to deal with the coordinators in Orb as well.
He also said that he wasn't racist.
Yeah.
There was no tag to that comment. Just, you remember?
I remember.
So do I. Okay. Yuna's framing of Kigali in this episode is very self-centered, with him calling her my Kigali and focusing on the fact that this was making a fool out of him in front of the Atlantic Federation. He also seemed perfectly fine with her getting killed, even after acknowledging it might be her to Tadaka, and he should know that Kigali would have been adamantly opposed to exactly what Orb is doing now. I think this lays to rest the dispute over whether Yuna ever truly cared about Kigali, and he only views her in light of how she can be useful to him. but I do think there is a layer of self-deprecation here where he believes he cares about her, but doesn't actually.
I don't think he ever actually did. He cares for what she stands for, but not.
I think there's a level of insanity in this comment.
Why is that?
Well, because it says that it puts to rest the idea that he ever really cared about her, and then suggests that he thinks that he cares about her, but doesn't. If you think you care about somebody, then I think you care about somebody. Even if your actions express otherwise, that you can believe in a thing and express actions that are against that thing that you believe in. You can be of two different minds about a thing.
Yeah, but one also says that actions speak louder than words, so.
Right. But, well, yeah, that expresses it to the world. That expresses what is true versus what you believe, right? If you say, I believe in freedom for everybody, but we're a slave owner, then clearly you don't, right?
Yeah.
But you still can believe that internally. You might just be sorry, the words completely escaped me the moment I went to say them. Delusional, I guess?
Yes.
That doesn't mean that you don't believe it's true. You can still believe it to be true. So, when you say that he doesn't care about her, but believes that he cares about her, if he believes he cares about her, he cares about her. Now, the actions expressed by him may speak to the contrary, and that might be the truth of the matter, but it is I can't remember the word either, it's truism. If he believes he cares in her, if he believes he cares about her, he cares about her.
He probably cares about her in a very warped, self-serving kind of way, which still in his mind is caring, but, you can have a destructive, oppressive.
To your point, obviously, if he acts against her, then he doesn't in action. But his beliefs are his beliefs. So, I mean, we can't second guess what's going on in his head because he is his character. If he believes he cares about her, then he cares about her. But we don't take that into account for his actions. Because if we say, what do we think Yuna is going to do? Well, he's going to fucking do whatever he wants to do, right? And he's proven that it doesn't take into account Kigali's well-being.
Yeah.
But at the same time, do I think that Yuna cares about Kigali? I actually still do. I still think he cares about Kigali. Like, I rewatched a 5-second clip of him, maybe like 4 or 5 times, where he asks for the missiles to be launched, and then Kira blows them all away, and Tanoka is like, oh, thank God, because that's the conversation we were having during that scene, because you're like, why is he doing that? And I'm like, because he's counting on Kira to blow them all away, because that's why he says, please save her. But then, in the background of the scene, Yuna's like, I couldn't tell. It's like, is that relief? Is that concern? I don't know what Yuna's trying to express back here.
Well, he seems to be panicking throughout the whole thing. It was like they showed like oh, So yeah, I think it's just
it's just that he expresses a look on his face that has so many different emotions in it that it's like, oh, I can't really read him here. So,
well, I put it into context so that he just basically spent the entire time he was on that bridge once the fighting started. Once the Archangel showed up, getting his pants. So
Yeah, but you have a very clear hatred of him, whereas I'm still trying to find him as a character. So, you're burying him in the ground, and I'm trying to, when you watch, Goodfellas or Casino, and then, there's, bad characters, but I think I've described this many times before in anime, fun to watch characters. Like Kimberly in Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. Bad guys that are fun to watch. Yuna is... Say what?
You find them fun to watch?
Who?
Yuna?
I was thought you were saying Kimberly. I thought you were disagreeing with me on Kimberly. Kimberly's an asshole, but he's fun to watch. Or Mahito from Jujutsu Kaisen to a certain point. I don't know that Yuna's fun to watch. I'm trying to find his character at the moment because the things I don't find him to be so white and black as you do. he, like, when he, like, puts Kigali in front of him, Kigali is Kira's sister. He's not going to attack Kigali. For me, there's more to that scene than just, oh, he's a pissant who's, like, trying to avoid getting hurt. There's levels to it that I'm analyzing.
Yeah, well.
Well, yeah, I also, as I've already indicated, yeah, I find him kind of fun to watch. Like, when he brought up the history thing, and it's like, oh, he's like a Warhammer nerd. It's like, oh, that's pretty fun. Bring me more of that, Yuna. I feel like, there's an element here that I could see where they could have been childhood friends, and then Yuna went all political at some point in his life. And it's like, that's when Kigali stopped, like, liking him as much. So I could see elements of the backstory here.
That's for the manga. Anyway.
Maybe.
Or the OVA. Or the AU OVA.
Well, I'm certainly burying myself in, or preparing to bury myself in UC manga, so I don't know if I'm going to have so much time for seed manga. I remember earlier in the season how Theta talked about how Kigali was more of an action girl and was not experienced enough to operate in politics, and I generally agree with this assessment, but differ on some points. But this now ties into the other way people view Kigali as being character assassinated in Destiny. Even though Kigali is once again in a mobile suit, after her speech fails, she just flies in place and does nothing but stare at what's going on most of the time, or occasionally speak over the radio again. Kigali is not taking action, like directly flying at the orb ships or mobile suits in an attempt to force them to stop, but is just impotently hanging around. Kigali was my favorite female character from Seed, and seeing how they've treated in Destiny so far never fails to piss me off.
Agree.
Well, I mean, I had a conversation with you. Yeah, literally, I said, did she have the balls to land on the main orb ship, get out, and say, hey, I'm Kigali, like, put herself out there? And she didn't. Although I didn't analyze the fact that I'd been calling her an action girl the whole time, and then I did a little bit while I was rewatching. The fact that they send Waltfield out and Waltfield says, hey, if you can't pull the trigger, then get back on the ship or whatever. He says something to her to that degree. Yeah, which basically is, I mean, I understand it from the point. I'm not getting on Kigali for just hovering there, because the element of why did she fire back at anybody or do anything is because it's orb attacking her. And these are actively the people she does not want to attack. Like, even if they're attacking her, there's an element at play that I have to believe in her mind. She's like, oh, I fucked up here. I don't want to kill my own people. What can I do to make this right? And she's just, like, stuck in that moment. So I don't think this is part of the character assassination. I still think Kira is mostly part of that character assassination. But, or Kira and Yuna, collectively. But, I'm not blaming her for not attacking her own people. Something that I think is interesting to note is that Athrun appeared to be more effective when fighting the Chaos when he was in a Zaku at Jaina 7 than he has ever been since getting into the Savior.
Yeah. Pretty much.
I would say not really. The Savior has never had its arm cut off and been about to be killed by the Chaos. He was more effective at protecting Kigali, I guess, but he hasn't had Kigali in the cockpit with him on the Savior, so...
And Kigali got her head banged against the console, so bleeding.
I mean, I think it's the hyperbolic point of view.
Yeah.
In terms of whether there would have been more casualties if the Minerva had succeeded in firing its positron cannon than if Kira had intervened, remember the orb forces were in front of the Earth force. Remember the orb forces were in front of the Earth forces, and the Earth forces might not have let them retreat. Plus, the Minerva likely would have tried to continue inflicting as much damage as possible on both the Earth forces and the orb forces to try and prevent them from making any further attempts to retreat. Sorry, I am just flummoxing this. To prevent them from making any further attempts from retaking the Suez route or attacking Zaft's local base. So Kira's intervention probably saved a lot of lives.
I mean, yeah.
Oh, no, I just
We also said, he did, but it wasn't the best way to do it. Like we said, we could have communicated. Kigali could have gone from the ship, like, "Hey, stop the fighting!" From the very beginning, send the radio message,
Well, my
and then,
point,
in fact, yeah, or go after the Air Forces directly because they're the instigators. Like Arthur says, "Why are you fighting us? There's the Air Forces there. They're the ones who are doing all the damage." Like, well, I don't trust the plans. Motherfucker, they're killing people and enslaving people. Don't you get the news?
Well, my point was more so that taking out the orb command ship and all the ships around it probably would have prevented the orb forces from effectively putting up a fight. We know that at a certain point the Earth forces were willing to retreat themselves. So saying that they wouldn't have allowed the orb forces to retreat, they were not taking as many casualties, I feel, as the orb forces were, and they decided to retreat anyway.
Yeah.
And also the element of they were about to fire the Tannhauser cannon, and here's an element that I think is just kind of, maybe I just don't understand things as well as I think I do. Everyone is, like, evading at 20 degrees. Minerva is under assault, 10 degrees to the left. The Tannhauser cannon's about to fire on the orb carrier. 20 degrees. Like, that much. That much you think it's going to save us?
I mean, it depends on how quickly you can maneuver as well. If you're in a carrier,
let's see. It's a multi-ton ship now currently being operated under the drag of water. And we've got how many time? Seconds? We've got seconds.
Yeah. I don't think any more degrees would have done much. I don't think they could have pulled off anything more than 20 degrees. Really.
Also counted, remember that we can only move forwards. So,
yeah.
I think we're going to lose the back half of our ship, even in the best scenario, because this is not getting me anywhere.
Yeah. I think it's just an order. It's like, don't take it full frontal. Not taking it full frontal, sir. Basically, that's what the order is. You want to take it on the face, or?
Well, that argument I think would only apply to like Xeon ships in Universal Century, where we get the whole thing about, it's made to deflect shots off the front. And then, you get Garma like, all of our ships are getting fucking blown up.
Yeah.
It's very interesting how Kira was able to sense Neo's presence during the battle, especially since the only other time he's ever demonstrated the capability was in the final episode of Season 1 where he sensed Rowler Crest.
Interesting.
I don't remember him sensing Neo's presence during the battle.
No, yes, it was. Like, there's somebody. Neo kind of looks up a little bit, like, what the?
I enjoy this level of interaction that we have between us. I say I don't remember a thing, and then you correct me as though I say he didn't. We have the same interaction if I disagree with you as we do when I say I don't remember.
No, but I mean, I do remember that.
No, I get that clearly when you told me, no, he did. You tell me no in the same way as when I say, no, it didn't happen, as when I say I don't remember it happening. You're correcting me and not reminding me.
Sorry about that.
Well, your name is Lessons Learned, as though you were a teacher.
Some things are hardwired.
Another common criticism of Destiny is how they brought in the Universal Sentry suits to replace the original suit designs from Seed Season 1, though the Earth Forces and Orb escape this problem.
I mean, Goose, Saku's.
Yeah, no, I said I didn't like it. I don't like it. Doesn't make any sense. Name him something else. Make him look like something else, too, for that matter.
Yeah.
Kira's goal here was to stop the battle in its entirety because he is trying to stop people on both sides from killing each other or getting killed. This made it so that during the entire battle, everyone who was fighting was a target. Yeah, we know that. Same thing happens in Season 1 of the show. It's also just Gundam 00, which I wasn't a huge fan of. It's so low on my list of Gundam shows.
Yeah.
The Minerva would not care about Kigali or keeping her safe, but they would probably appreciate it if she managed to get the orb forces to withdraw.
Sure.
I mean, disagree.
I guess.
Athrun is a part of the Minerva. He would care. He is a faith member. He's always pretty up there in the chain of command.
Yeah, but he doesn't control the Tannhauser cannon.
Well, what he does control, though, is the mobile suits that launch from the ship. That's why they called him Commander. That was explained to Hein.
Yes,
now
but
that Hein is dead.
Hein took over. No, but Hein hadn't died yet, so he was technically in charge.
Well, technically, the fight was still happening after Hein had died, so...
No.
Either way, Athrun's still part of the ship. Part of the ship, part of the crew, as a famous show, as a movie series once told me. While I think Kigali landing on the orb ship could have been a good idea if Kira had also had the freedom immediately next to her, because otherwise Yuna could have ordered the orb soldiers to take her into custody for her protection or to rescue her from her kidnappers, and he then would have likely kept her isolated so she could not interfere with the military operation any further.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, but then again, she is in a Gundam, so if they try to do that, she just has to hop back into the Gundam and fly away.
My threat to her was more so they would try to shoot her. But also I hate the idea that Fender is proposing that, you know what Kigali needs to make that actually effective? A man standing next to her. And not to like,
big brother.
I hate this word, the way it's used these days, but the whole woke thing, the way people use the word woke, that it seems like I'm proposing some sort of woke mindset where they say, she's a man standing behind her. Kigali don't need no man. You know, like that sort of thing. But no, the idea that she is the leader of the nation, literally the admirals, or not the admirals, I guess they're captains. I don't know what Tadaka and his group are. I guess they're just the bridge crew. That having physical evidence in front of them, that Yuna would still be able to be like, no. You know? I think...
That's a clone.
Yeah, it's like, what do you do after that? Like, he did pull the brainwashed card, but at some point, like, when your leader is literally in front of you, and you can see their face, and it's like, I'm pretty sure I know Yuna... I'm pretty sure I know Kigali's face, and that looks like Kigali. I mean, at that point, you have to pull up the... As I said, I indicated that the episode was actively indicating to us that people might not be who they appear to be. The whole Lacus mirror thing, but with a different face on it now.
Oh, that would have been cool. I think Kigali first season would have stopped, opened the canopy, pull her gun, and shoot Yuna right through the glass. It's like, I'm in charge, this bitch.
No.
You know?
She wouldn't have shot him. I mean, at worst, she would have reached in and grabbed him, but I don't think she would have done that because she wouldn't have wanted to assault everybody else on the bridge by the wreckage of reaching through the bridge to cat him.
I mean, you can do it from the side, you know.
No, because it would have been too much.
Corner.
Yeah, but also you have to crush him against all the material. Like I said, you're saying she would kill him. I'm saying no, he would kill him. Because Kigali in Action Girl is very much... That one was the more... Sorry. I'm thinking the whole movie process is going through my head. That's the Kigali that would have landed on the ship, fired a grappling hook around the head of her own Gundam, swung through the glass of the bridge, and then walked up and punched Yuna in the face. Wouldn't have been a kill move, would have been a die-hard move.
Yeah. That would have been awesome, too. I mean, she could have just poked the glass with the finger of the Gundam and then jump out.
Oh, yeah, no. That one would be put your finger through the glass, open the cockpit, run down the arm of the Gundam, that sort of thing.
And punch him or kick him in the face.
But the fact that we've already copied Ramba, we could do the crotch swing from the Gundam thing.
Yeah.
All right, one last comment here. Also from Fenrir756 from the Patreon from the episode Differing Views. Kira is generally not viewed as being a character assassinated during Destiny, and I think Theta's taking the Jesus Yamato meme a bit far. The meme is generally refers to plot armor. he seems have primarily in destiny and doesn't mean that the show ties itself in knots just to prove him right.
I'm gonna go with Theta and put an asterisk on that one because it seems to be trending.
Well, here, let me say something before you tie yourself to me.
Yeah.
My comment is, I don't give a fuck. I don't care what the meme says. I'm saying that Jesus Yamato means this because I'm watching it. Now, granted, I might not have known the Jesus Yamato thing without the meme, but I also haven't interacted with the meme at all. In that, like, I wasn't watching this when everyone else is watching this because I'm watching it now with you, right? And we don't have anybody in our community that's, like, posting Jesus Yamato shit. So, in our aspect, we might as well be the first people watching the show, and you guys are commenting on it after the fact. So, in my respect, Jesus Yamato is Savior Yamato. It's going to save us all with all this fucking shit. I'm not taking it as Jesus rose from the dead. I'm taking it as Jesus is infallible. I don't know. For some reason that one just struck me. Like, I don't give a shit what other people are doing. Remember, the battle was finished at the end of last episode with the shot of the Freedom flying off with a bunch of smoke rising in the background.
Yeah, we commented on that. Yeah. A lot of wreckage in the water, yeah.
I was just laughing at myself because there's a mixture of I'm fucking a lot of reading up here, but there's also just poorly written sentences also. So, a little bit of Fenrir, a little bit of me. And you're never going to be able to figure out which one.
Yeah.
The comment of Athrun is his Season 1 self again is a common problem people have with Destiny, and people generally view that as being a significant part of Athrun being character assassinated, as he seems to have forgotten everything he learned from Season 1 of Seed.
I don't know. I mean, on one hand, it seems that way, but on the other one, he literally says, I joined Plant because Durandal seems to be doing the right thing here. I'm not chasing over a ship to kill those people like he spent most of his time in the first season. He's like, I want to stop the fighting, and I'm siding with the guy that, at least on the surface, even though I personally don't trust him, but the bulk of the evidence up to this point is like, he's playing it straight, and there's, the whole Lacus thing. But yeah, so it's like, compared to what my dad did, he tried to get me arrested and killed the leader of the opposition and tried to kill a lot of people on Earth and commit, if not genocide, mass murder. And the other side, the first military move they made was to try to kill everybody in the plants. If you had to make a choice.
Well, my problem is that Athrun has always been a pretty well-grounded character. So, I don't have a problem with him being Season 1 Athrun. Season 1 Athrun had a point, hey, Kira, join us in Zaft. I'm gonna kill you, Kira, for doing this, or he was negotiating most of the time to try and get Kira back until the point where he basically had to try and kill Kira because Kira killed his best friend. His best friend, technically Kira's his best friend, I guess. He killed Nicole. Paul's point to Athrun is that by joining Zaft, he has committed himself to a side in the war, and while it is true that the Earth forces are the ones who have clearly been in the wrong since the start of the war, that doesn't necessarily mean committing yourself to the other side is the right choice, especially when that side is engaging in a clear deception to manipulate others into publicly supporting them.
I agree, but I can also see Athrun's decision not being, like I just said, based on the evidence that he knows, minus the Lacus thing, right? It makes sense to join the people that are the less wrong, right?
It's not
people
that they're the less wrong, they're actively helping people that want... Well, no. I mean, they are, I guess, to one respect, but I mean, we've already indicated the whole, we don't take any territory, hey, we have orders to take territory. The whole thing doesn't make sense. I'm talking about the fact that they're liberating people who are actively asking them for help. They are on the good side. It's like the idea that you have a problem with Athrun taking a side when Athrun is literally taking a good side. Now you're saying they're clearly engaging in deception. No, they're not. For one thing, if you're clearly taking acts of deception, you're bad at deception.
I mean, but they are. I mean, clearly from our point of view,
our point of view isn't the character point of view.
Yeah.
From the character point of view,
he knows who Mir is, so he knows clearly that they're deceiving people. In fact, he gets called on that by Kira. He's like, "Hey, what about Lacus?" And it's like, well,
you remember that my last conversation about all this was, is it right to kill one person to save the world, right? This is so far down on the tier of that. This is like, okay, if killing a person to save the world is up here, and like making everyone believe somebody else is a different person, way down here. Yeah, I don't think, okay, here's a gun, shoot this person in the head, we'll have world peace tomorrow, or here's a microphone, pretend that you're Michael Jackson for 5 minutes. I think you're probably going to take the microphone. Maybe not Michael Jackson. Maybe you might not. There might be a different problem there.
Yeah.
Kigali and Yuna's marriage vows were never completed as Kigali never uttered the final words.
True.
Doesn't mean anything.
But Yuna being Yuna, he can still claim that,
Also, the only one present on the platform at the very end. Only him and Kigali knows what was said there at the very end.
Oh, the priest.
The priest evacuated first, right off the bat.
Well, in that case, it couldn't be a marriage then.
Well, except that Yuna is acting representative and can preside over things. A court marriage versus a church marriage. Yeah. He could if he wanted to, and may have. It doesn't matter. That's what I'm saying. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Kira has very good reasons for being suspicious of Durandal, given the fact that shortly after Durandal started using Mir to get public support for him in his position, coordinators using brand new mobile suits attempted to murder Lacus and cover up the evidence. While Durandal has not had zaft do anything extreme or bad like what occurred in Season 1, that does not mean that Durandal does not have a hidden agenda he is currently pursuing. If Durandal does have a hidden agenda, Kira and Lacus certainly have no way of verifying whether it is good or bad, so they are currently suspicious of Durandal and the plants.
Suspicion of Zaft and Durandal, yeah. But we talked about suspicion of the plants as a people, as a government represents a people, because they're all coordinators, or most of them. We don't know what happened to the people evacuated who were not coordinators who went there, if they went there at all, or they were segregated in the evacuation. Yeah, that makes it a little problematic.
I don't know. I find the whole idea bad. Sorry, I had another word in mind, but I can't think of it. The idea that you can't confirm if a person has a hidden agenda, so just distrust them from the outset. Everyone has a hidden agenda, probably. Right? Don't trust anybody then, is what that's telling me. No.
Well, I mean, based on the fact that they tried to kill Lacus, or somebody tried to kill Lacus.
Again, you're pursuing that as though it's true, and we have no idea if it's not. Again, to my point that...
I mean, it happened. Whether it's connected to Durandal or not, that's the question.
That's literally what I was just saying.
That happened. So they have...
Yeah, but you use the word they, as though the only they you could have been using in that term would be Durandal.
Well, they have grounds for suspicion. They don't have proof. Proof and suspicion are not the same thing.
Yes, but they're acting like they have... They're acting like Batman in Batman versus Superman, right? If there's even a 1% chance that Superman's bad, we have to take it as 100%. It's like, that was dumb in that movie, and it's dumb right now. Now, if it turns out to be true, it's still dumb. Right? Imagine if you interviewed, like, a homegrown American terrorist. Like, why are you trying to blow up all these government buildings? And you know what? I'm abandoning that line of thought.
Yeah.
I'm just saying it's a dumb thought. I don't think it's worth considering to be true until proven to be true. I also think it's important to note that Luna Maria now knows that the Lacus she met has been hanging around Athra and is a fake.
I read that already.
I find Theta's support for the idea that it's okay to kill an innocent person if it would bring world peace very amusing, for reasons that may or may not be restricted solely to Gundam Seed Destiny, or may not also be related to a different show that is currently being watched on the channel. Okay, let's see. We've done this list out loud in our heads just before we start recording, but I can't remember. I'm going to go through the 7 that I watch on my own just to make sure. Magic Knight Rayearth.
Mm-hmm.
There's the Pillar System, but that's where the Princess Emerald wants to commit suicide. She should get out. That literally does not... It's opposite. That one person being killed literally creates a horrible world that has to be fixed later. So, not Magic Knight Rayearth. Infinite Rivus. That is basically a Lord of the Flies in space. Unsure if that could connect there. Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. I don't know how that show ends yet. So, I don't think. What's one of the 4 that we do on Patreon right now, by the way, since I'm blanking on my own head?
Durara?
Yeah, it's such a complicated story that I couldn't think that would be the case there.
Legend of Galactic Heroes? Nope. Not yet, anyway.
Yeah, well, that's also like a galaxy-spanning thing, so I can't believe that one person would save the galaxy. Or one person's sacrifice.
Yeah. Macross Frontier? Maybe, the whole discussion about killing... What's her name?
Ranka?
Ranka. But that hasn't happened. Well, yeah, it's a minute.
Well, no, because killing Ranka would just set the Vajra off on a path of destruction anyway.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't save anybody. Especially not Ranka.
Yeah, true.
Fate Zero.
Who do you kill there that would save the world?
Well, they're killing each other, so it's
so
doesn't apply. Raz Aphon, it's also a Patreon request, but I'm doing that solo. I'll be honest, I'm on the verge of not understanding what's going on in Raz Aphon.
Yeah.
So, Apothecary Diaries, I started episode 1, so if you're alluding to that, that's a bad miss. God, what else am I watching? So many freaking shows. Jujutsu Kaisen, maybe you kill Yuji, you kill Sukuna. Yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe Jujutsu Kaisen. Although Fender has not commented on a single Jujutsu Kaisen episode I'm aware of. So that'd be a weird play. I mean, also, that would be a shit take if they have, and I just missed everyone. I think that must be it. Yuji, if you kill Yuji, you kill Sukuna because they inhabit the same body, and Sukuna is the most powerful person who's like essentially killed off most of a city by the part that I'm at. So, maybe. Alright, last one here. Again, the Jesus Yamato meme has more to do with the plot armor than it has being a commentary on Kira can never be wrong since he's the main character. I already said. By the way, this is in the same comment that you started that with, so...
Just to he wants to make the point clear, so I guess...
let me double down on don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Anyway, that is the end of the comments.
But before we get started,
make sure that you hit the like button,
hit that subscribe button,
comment down below to feed that algorithm.
On top of all that, if you want to watch more shows like this,
unfiltered,
uncensored,
and uncut,
as well as some early access stuff,
you can check it out over on the Patreon.
It's just $5 a month, but hey, no pressure.
There's zero pressure in order to do that. It's just a little bit of extra support, and it would be greatly appreciated.
あれだ。でもそれで、君が今またザフト軍だって言うなら。
See, he still seems cold. And definitely not in seed form.
キラ、それはやめさせたいと思ったからだ。もうあんなことは。ユニウス7のことは分かってはいるが、 その後の混乱はどう見たって連合が悪い。それでもプラントはこんなバカなことは一日でも早く終わらせようと頑張っているんだぞ。なのにお前たちはただ状況を混乱させているだけじゃないか。本当にそう。じゃああのラクス・クラインは今プラントにいるあのラクスは何なの？
Again, better version of Lacus.
そしてなんで本物の彼女はコーディネーターに殺されそうになるの？
It's interesting in this shot. Ray goes into shadow while Chin is still in light.
I know, it was a really poorly animated thing. So I was very confused when they were walking up to the place. They were like drawn with like drunken figures moving around.
なんだここは。レイレイ
Yeah, pointedly we can't see the heads of the figures in the tubes to see if any of them had like blonde hair or anything. Oh, new opening.
Yeah.
Because I was looking for like blonde hair.
Okay, so everybody's naked now? Is that
Hello. Well,
who's that?
doesn't seem to be a clone to me.
I don't know.
Also, considering the explosion that he would have been in, a couple of lines on the shoulder and face seem to be a whole hell of a... Didn't his helmet go flying? Why are you like that?
Yeah. Is that supposed to be Mula Flaga, right?
That's what I'm thinking. See, same I was just referring to in this one too.
So
Is that or Neo is just some random scarred guy?
Remember when I said about the figure in the asteroid? Like, no, it doesn't look like anybody's walking away from the wreckage of the
Yeah, well,
Freedom,
you
I
remember
think it
there
was?
wasn't anybody. That also wasn't an asteroid.
Yeah.
That was the moon. It was
Yeah.
a crater on the
Yeah.
moon. But there was
Mhm.
nobody there, because remember, you
Yeah.
rewatched it with me. There was nobody there.
Yeah.
But more so the fact that Mula Flaga's the Freedom was utterly destroyed. And also, it was the head of the Freedom, not the head of a spacesuit. I don't know.
I don't like this one.
Literally, I'll have to hear it again when I'm rewatching. But literally, Waltfield, who like lost a leg and an eye, and Mula Flaga was in a full body explosion. It just had a couple of scratches. If that is him, I have to think it is.
私はラクス・クラインです。どうかお気持ちを静めて、私の話を聞いてください。
笑ってくれて構わんよ。君には無論わかるだろう。だが仕方ない。彼女の力は大きいのだ。私のなどよりはるかにね。
I don't know. Given that speech that got all the kids off of the war crimes, pretty good influence.
だから今だけでもいいんです。私は今いらっしゃらないラクスさんの代わりに議長やみんなのためのお手伝いができたらそれだけで嬉しい。アスラに会えて本当に嬉しい。
戦いを終わらせる、戦わない道を選ぶということは戦うと決めるよりはるかに難しいものさ。やはりできることならそれを何とかしたいんだがね。
The goof that got blown up. Or
だがそれこそ
equivalent thereof.
何より本当に難しいのだよ。
Yeah, I mean, if you can manipulate everybody out of a war instead of fighting a war, is that not better?
それはラクスが狙われたというのなら、それは確かに本当にとんでもないことだ。だからって議長が信じられない、プラントも信じられないというのはちょっと早計すぎるんじゃないのか、キラ。アスラ。プラントにだっていろいろな思いの人間がいる。
Hey, everything we talked about.
の犯人たちのように。
Hey, literally the example. I think Athrun might be my guy.
その収益のことだって 議長のご存じないごく一部の人間が勝手にやったことかもしれないじゃないか。
I know they're probably going to play it as Athens justifying things, but that's good evidence.
それはそうだけど、ともかくその件は俺も船に戻ったら調べてみるから。だからお前たちは今はオーブへ戻れ。
We can't.
じゃあお前
戦闘を止めたい、オーブを戦わせたくない。
Well, I mean, no, they should, because Kigali is the
連合との
representative.
条約からなんとかしろ。戦場に出てからじゃ遅いんだ。
それは分かってはいるけど。じゃあお前は戻らないのか？アークエンジェルにもオーブにも。
I work for zaft.
オーブが今まで通りの国であってくれさえすれば行く道は同じはずだ。
アスラン、
俺は服退したんだ。今さら戻れない。
そんな。キラ。
でもそれじゃあ君はこれからもザフトで。
Tell us what these people are fucking talking about, not this stupid conversation on the beach.
終わるまでは仕方ない。じゃあこの間みたいにオーブとも。俺だってできれば撃ちたくはない。でもあれじゃ戦うしかない。
Sorry, I got one message for Orb. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes.
Yes, sir.
お前たちだって知ってるだろ。それはやめさせなくちゃならないんだ。だから条約を早く何とかしてオーブを下がらせろと言っている。でもアスラン、それも分かってはいるけど、それでも僕たちはオーブを撃たせたくないんだ。キラ。
I think it's more important to stop what the Alliance is doing than not fighting Orb.
撃たれて失ったものはもう二度と戻らないから。
Yeah, you know, people worked to death in an Alliance slave camp aren't coming back tomorrow either. This is fucking stupid.
自分だけ分かったよ。
Comments like that is what got me all hating all the other Gundam shows.
お前の手だってすでに何人もの命を奪ってるんだぞ。
Harsh. That you think you're better than Meek Stammet.
知ってる。
I mean, that's why he doesn't want to take more lives, of course.
だからもう本当に嫌なんだ。こんなことは。
Tell that to the 9 people you killed when you shot the Tannhauser.
撃ちたくない。撃たせないで。
Oh, I told you I was right.
利水ミネルヴァ発進する。上昇率 3.2 進路10。フリアダン280まで散布せよ。
3.2. It'll take us hours to get out of the water.
ならばなおのことだ。あんなことはもうやめてオーブへ戻れ。いいな。
アスラン。
He's looking at that ring.
理解はできても納得できないこともある。俺にだって。
I mean, Atherin is 100% in the right. Go back to Orb. Get them out. Like, if you killed every world leader who didn't like what the, what their position is with this whole alliance, there wouldn't be an alliance. There would just be North America and then the rest of the world.
Yeah. Detonators.
Yeah, apparently it was booby trapped. And they were all dead bodies too. Whoever the hell that was.
そうは言ってもね、念のためだ。現段階では建物や周辺からガスやウイルスの類は検知されていな
I
い
guess
が。
you could get sick walking into
何
a
があるかわからんだろう。
underground facility filled with dead corpses that are rotting. Does look
Those
like
look
the
like
other
iron-
place.
Yeah,
Exactly.
iron lungs.
Nope, that's Durandal. That looks like Ray. That looks like Rao. No, who is this?
That looks like Rao. Or
だが
Moo?
艦長も
No, I mean, it doesn't
yeah,
look like
Rao.
Moo or Rao to me. But it could be a younger version, so that looks like a younger Durandal, too. Oh man, what if Durandal is the same clone as everybody else, just his hair dyed color?
or he was part of the team that was making the super coordinators.
そうか
Well, that was the Hibikis.
まだ休んでいてもいいんだ。
Yeah.
But that didn't look
No,
like
but
one of
those
the...
look like
That didn't look like a
they look
Hibiki.
like
I know, that's what I'm saying, but it doesn't look like one of the Hibikis. That's what I'm saying.
true.
So I
but
said I
it-
wish
it
we had
looked
been
like-
hearing what they were talking about instead of the stupid beach conversation.
自爆装置はすべて撤去。生物学的異常は認められません。
Well, except for all the dead bodies.
ありがとう。
ということはどういうことでしょうかね。そのレイの異常は。
Oh, I think she knows.
艦長、セイバーです。
Put him under arrest. The thing is that Kira would probably know. No, yeah, Kira would know probably.
Well, no, I
But
think
he's not
Kira would
here.
do the same thing that we would do. Like, oh, these look like the things that I've seen before. But Kira doesn't have any, like, in-depth information. Rao had that, and he's
港へ
dead.
戻ったら発信したと聞いてどうしたんです？何かあったんですか？
You're under arrest.
I don't know why you keep saying that. He hasn't done anything.
I know. I'm just fucking.
補給班、車をどかしてくれ。
What a
It's
pathetic.
cute.
まさかこちらも
No,
I like it. Yeah, I like it. It's cute.
思ってなかったからな。
He's not supposed to be cute.
でもそれをスエズにも
He's just a giant
戻らずにここでというのは
I like
正
it.
直きついですよ。
He's an asshole.
分かっちゃいるがね。だがしょうがない。完膚なきまでにやられたって言うんなら、戻ってもまだ言い訳も立つが。ステラたちはまだ元気だもんな。
ロアノーク大佐、
どうした？
ロドニアのラボのことなんですが、
Oh, he knows about the
ア
lab.
クシデントで
Oh, there was an Earth
失敗
Alliance
してるよ
lab.
うでさらに悪いことにザフトが
That's why I said the whole connection I couldn't find between Durandal, but
報告を受けて
apparently it's in
スエ
Ray's
ズに当てている
memories.
ようですが、とりあえずお耳に。
Oh, they killed the subjects. Or
No.
someone tried.
Well, there was explosives all over the place that failed to detonate.
Somebody. Oh, well, it looks like slaves. Like they had colors.
Well, they could be test subjects, like you said before.
That's a child.
これは
Well,
一体
if they're clones, they're all going to be from, you know,
何なんですか
of a certain age. Depending on when they were grown.
内乱ということでしょうね。自爆しようとして。
Iris. Fingerprint.
でもなんでこんな子供が
This is the new world that.
Well, I would
People-
assume that maybe this is the place where they made the guys from season 1. Or the biocomputer people.
ロドニア
Or
のラボって
these guys.
そりゃお前
Well,
俺たちが前いた
that
とこ
doesn't
じゃ
fit
ん
into what we thought these people were, though.
なんだ
Oh, they say places they lived before. They just said it.
ザフトがってネオが
A rebellion, though.
that's-
Who survived? Who did they all kill each other, or by the way, brains?
11廃棄処分参入所 8月7廃棄処分合入所。
何ですかそれは。
Brains.
被験体の
So I said the balls are all
つまり
brains.
子供のその入室記録ってところかしらね。
Maybe they are
連合のエク
brains.
ステンデッド。あなただって聞いているでしょ。
What the fuck is the extended? Well, season 1. I was right there at least.
電子操作を意味嫌う連合ブルーコスモスが薬やその他のさまざまな手段を使って
Talked a lot about the drugs in the first season too.
戦うためだけの人間。ここはその実験製造施設ってことよ。私たちコーディネーターに対抗できるようにと薬や何かで肉体を改造強化され
That dude probably deserved
戦
it.
闘訓練だけを施
Yeah.
されて適応できないまたはついていけないものは容赦なく淘汰されていく。
Oh, there's Stella. There are three of them. They were kids.
そういう場所なんだわ。
ちょっと落ち着けってアウルなんでだよなんで落ち着いてられるんだよラボには
Not anymore.
That's his secret phrase.
I was gonna say, do you think he said his own code word?
Yeah.
おいバカアウル
And then she triggers Stella.
死んじゃう。
おいこらしっかりしろバカ
死んじゃう。死んじゃうはダメ。怖い。守る。
I mean, in a way, I was right, and in a way, I was wrong.
守る。
I said, what if they were trying to clone their perfect soldier? But I thought it was being Mulaflaga, and it turns out they were just making a bunch of them.
ハッチ開けて。開けないと吹き飛ばす。
おいなんだブリッジ大変だ大佐大佐
You know, maybe call the captain, but also open the hatch. Say, open the hatch. Either way, you're gonna blow a hole in your ship.
ロドニア、ラボ、母さん、守る。
ええ。とにかく今取れるだけのデータは取って。後から専門のチームも来るでしょうけど、これだけの施設、連合がこのまま放置しておくとは考えにくいわ。
I don't know, maybe the first time ever, you should call in reinforcements.
本当にもう信じられませんよ。コーディネーターは自然に逆らった間違った存在とか言っておきながら、自分たちはこれですか
Yeah, because they can't control the coordinators. That's
Well,
the
think back
Yeah.
to season 1 where they wanted to use the coordinators as like a slave race. This is more of that.
ブ
yeah.
ルーコスモスってのは確かにな。
Ray got more confusing.
若者
Because it's not what I thought, but we saw him in a flashback with Durandal here-ish, it looks like.
I guess they
Still haven't figured out his code word yet.
艦長オメガスース1接近中ガイアです
一機後続は
現時点ではありません
どういうつもり施設を守る
they're not.
They also said this was a rebellion, and it seems like they haven't found anyone alive, so gonna be disappointment all around here.
Yeah.
母さん、守る。
Assuming that person was even real and not like an implanted memory.
気をつけろシン。施設の破壊が目的なら何か特殊な装備を持っているかもしれない。
My special advice might be a nuke.
Well, I mean, we know it's not, though. She's not out here on a mission. She came out here with no authority whatsoever. There's no planning involved in this.
Oh no.
Gyrocopter, to the rescue. We saw Lunamaria in the opening of the show. I don't think they would kill her in the first opening that she's in it.
He's in a vulnerable position.
That don't matter. Forgetting for the moment that I'm the one who first put out there that I thought Lunamaria was gonna die. We're doing a lot of carving open the Gundam cockpits this season.
Now she sees who it is.
Well, no, Shin sees who it is. She doesn't know who this is. Don't be sexist. That's for Kira.
I guess now you betrayed your promise to her. Oh, didn't kill her, but...
I mean, she's not going to remember him either way.
But he does her.
Well, not yet. But
he is remembering it now.
It's not what that's what the joke was. He does her is what you said.
Remember. That's what I meant to say.
Same ending, though. So, yeah, like I said, I was partially correct. I was thinking that they were, like, going to be a whole, like, Mulaflaga cloning force, but they're just, like, cloning kids? Or raising kids? I don't understand. Are they cloning kids or raising kids?
Or
no, I had to think that they're cloning
them.
kids because they have the whole, like, spectrum of brains.
Yeah, so they're modifying children. That's what they're doing.
Yeah, well, I can't tell. Like, they got the cloning. They got the cloning vets. They had to be cloning kids. Well, no, because those aren't clone vets. Those are for creating. Because that's how we create coordinators. So they're creating kids. I don't know. Well, I do know. Obviously, it's what we talked about all at the end of season 1 with the whole Mulaflaga, Rowlaflaga thing. Row the crest.
行く時の中でもそれは紛れもない真実だが昨日を持たぬ者には全てが無意味な夢か信じる心が探す明日への道しるべは次回機動戦士ガンダムシードデスティニー約束一筋の光守り抜けフリーダム
Yeah, the promise to protect.
It seems like Lacus is under attack again.
I don't know. No, it seems like they were having a thing. It seems unrelated to the scenes.
Yeah, but they were taking it. The shuttle was taking off, and it seemed that it was Wakefield and Lacus on it, and it was being attacked. It was like, oh, freedom, protect.
I don't know. I think that those were unrelated scenes to one another. The same way that you watch like back in the day, you'd watch the Star Wars trailers, and it's like, oh, and these two people are fighting one another. And it turns out they're on completely different scenes clipped together. I wouldn't put it past them, is all I'm saying. But you have what? No thoughts?
I mean, the problem is we don't. How can I say this? There's so much that could be going on, and we saw Mulaflaga apparently. Could have been Rao.
Oh, yeah, so it's just the opening.
The opening. Yeah. And then we then see what could have been.
Okay, here's the thing. I'm pretty sure we saw Rao's. I'm pretty sure we saw Rao's helmet floating through space. Whereas we saw Mulaflaga's Gundam head floating through space.
Yeah.
Also, Rao got hit by the super weapon. Whereas Mu got hit by a Tannhauser.
Yeah.
I mean, they're both pretty big, but one takes out parts of the Earth. The other one takes out a ship. Both people should still be dead, but...
Very much so, yeah.
All things
but
being
the thing is, now
equal...
Durandal was there. So if Durandal was part of... if I'm stuttering, my video is going down because I'm downloading. Okay. Was Durandal part of either the original team or a project to revive what's his name was doing?
We need to be able to go back, and when we do our next recordings, obviously, we need the context, because it's not even that the scene went by that fast, it's just that there's so much information overload, wasn't able to fully process. All I know is that Ray was there.
Ray was there. Clearly Ray was there.
We have no context exactly where that was. I know the understanding is we're in a scene where we're at the facility, but that doesn't mean that the memory was of that same facility.
Yeah, that's true.
Like I said, we need the context, and that means I guess it just needs to wait for the notes for that specific part. All we know for sure that I can put on the table is the element of our 3 new people and our 3 old people from the Earth Alliance side apparently come from here. Because we knew that in Season 1, and I don't remember if this came up in the movie, but I believe I brought it up to you directly, that they called them like biocomputers for the Gundams.
Yeah. And they showed it having drugs and withdrawal and all that in the movie, so yeah.
Yeah, so...
And then they were very uncontrollable, yeah.
But there you go. I mean, uncontrollable, but they are apparently the best of the facility.
The equivalent. Yeah.
I guess that's why you needed the memory altering thing to make them controllable.
Yeah. But if Stella, Owl, and whoever the other guy is are part of the same program or next step of the program, so...
Yeah, that's what I said. The first guys needed drugs to be controllable, and these guys have the memory alterations to make them controllable. Although apparently it doesn't give them rid of their memories of the facility. Well, none of them are adults.
I mean, yeah, but it could be that the system is flawed. I mean, it erases memory, but not permanently. Sort of shadows and masks it. So
sorry, you didn't tell you which system you were talking about. The system is flawed, and I thought you were talking about the facility. You mean the facility that's raising kids to kill one another? And yeah, I think it's a bit flawed. Seems flawed.
No, I'm talking about the system that
I know what you're talking about. You already emphasized the memory thing. Also, there is a lag between us. I can realize now. I don't know. There was a lot going on in the episode. I'm going to have to guess that was the one that Fenrir said that we'd be confused about or something. Although I would say that I'm not really confused in the sense of I don't know what's happening. I think I understand what's happening. So the confusion would be on the micro elements of who's tied to who, what's going on here, what are they alluding to. Mm-hmm. That doesn't change my understanding of how the show... The macro of the show is still the same.
It may well be that either this is the area where we know Durandal is a bad guy because he was involved in all of this, or he's a good guy who was involved and decided, no, I'm going to put a stop to it, and it could.
Well, there's 2 elements to that. One is the element of... Well, I'm going to go to the last part first. I'm probably going to forget the other one by the time I'm done this thought. The connection that I was trying to find in my note section of how is Durandal connected to this Earth Forces thing, no, because that doesn't even make sense. Because how could he be? He's a coordinator. Unless he's a fake coordinator.
Yes, he could. Well,
how do you go from doing this Earth Forces thing, the Earth Forces who hate coordinators, to being the leader of the coordinators? I don't think that's a transition you can make.
Unless, because he's an expert in DNA, he can also fake being a coordinator.
Oh, he Gattagood his way to being the... He Gattagood his way not only from being part of the space program, He gotta get his way into being chief coordinator. I don't know. That seems extreme from a narrative standpoint, right? Like, I would take it like, one of these guys, like one of the soldiers being a fake coordinator, that'd be fine. Be like, oh, he's so good at being a soldier, he's faking it all the way. But being the head of the government, I'd be like, the president's a raccoon. Like, what?
Yeah, the lizard folk theory of Gundam seed.
I don't know. Like I said, I was confused when I was making the notes about what the connection between when I was saying that there could be a clone thing going on of Durandal being the connection between the two. I don't know what it would be. Now that we seemingly have seen it on screen, I still don't know what it would be. I guess unless Durandal is operating with Jibril, that could be a connection. And that, well, no, because if Jibril is a Blue Cosmos kind of guy, and obviously he's Logos, which is above Blue Cosmos, but they apparently invented racism. And he's so into the Blue Cosmos, he's got blue lips, and has said the For Our Blue and Pure World himself out loud.
Yeah.
Seems unlikely that he would operate with Durandal.
Yeah, this Max is something we said very early on that would be a problem. I would have a problem with if he did a Palpatine, prequel Palpatine in where he was controlling both sides.
Also,
if that's Durandal, it's like that's
also Jibril tried to have them nuke the plants, and Durandal was on the plants in direct line of the nukes that were coming. Granted, he also had knowledge of the thing that was going to take them out, but it was also an untested thing. I don't think if you were in charge, you'd put yourself in front of... I don't know, that would be a 5-head play, wouldn't it? Put yourself in front of the bullet to prove how unsuspecting you are.
Yeah. And getting shot by it. And hopefully somebody will raise a shield just in time to block you,
Yeah, I put everything into play, but I better hope this works because it's untested. I don't know. The untested element of that weapon seems to me the element that makes Durandal not suspicious. I've also...
The thing is, it still would be kind of shitty, but they could go with the slide that Durandal knows who Jibril is, but Jibril has no idea about Durandal other than being the leader of the plants, right? He doesn't know what Durandal knows, right?
Durandal knows about Logos. Durandal has not shown any knowledge that he knows who Jibril is.
Yeah. I mean, also, if he knows about Logos...
I mean, that's like on the level of saying that you know what ISIS is, but if I asked you who the leader of ISIS was, you probably couldn't tell me.
Yeah, but if you're the leader of a country and you know that the real bad guys are the leadership of ISIS, you try to take them out, right?
Some people say that. Apparently, other people don't. Now, my point is that, again, Durandal would know who ISIS was. Durandal wouldn't know the leader of ISIS.
Maybe that's what they're trying to...
Even though ISIS isn't the example to go with here, it would be the Illuminati, right?
Or something like that.
Durandal might understand the idea of the Illuminati, but he might not know the actual members of the Illuminati.
He seems to know an awful... He seems to be cooperating with somebody. I mean, unless that was Rao and not...
Again, it requires looking back at, because whoever it was had a youngish-looking face, younger than the people I suspect them to be. And also, it's definitely not Hibiki. Any of the Hibikis.
No. Rao was a genocidal maniac, it turned out at the very end. Did Durandal know about that too? Or, it's like,
you wouldn't want to clone Rao, because Rao was a... incomplete clone or a failed clone himself. You don't take the bad Xerox and make more Xeroxes of it.
Yeah, copy of a copy when the first copy was already.
Again, that's the one that requires more look back because again, I don't recognize the face. Also, I don't know. It looked younger, more rounded, and also looked like kind of a different animation to everybody that we've ever seen. Not like a different animation style. It just looked cleaner. Like, this is a new season of a show, and it's like newly drawn face.
Yeah. Here's the thing. Ray recognizes something there, right? So he has a connection to all of this. And he has a connection to Durandal. In fact, he might see Durandal as a father figure. That's why, oh, hey, Jill, how you doing, right? He knows him by Jill, right? Could Ray be somebody he pulled out of this program or something similar to it? Or was this maybe a SAF program?
That's literally my note was at the beginning of this, before we watched the show. I said, I don't know what their connection is. Maybe he saved him out of here. That's why he has that father-like thing. Like, he's the savior of him. Or, I don't know. I literally said all this at the beginning, and you know me, I delete my notes as soon as I say them.
Yeah, you said that. So, it's like, but he was pretty young, though. Like, what, 7 or 8? So this all had to happen before this entire war.
That's why I said the other person looked really young, too. Even Durandal looked younger than normal.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know, because remember, a year-ish has happened between the end of the war and this, and it was an
18-month war.
13, 4, yeah, it was a long war. So maybe, like, say 3, 4 years?
Oh, 2.5, maybe.
No, 3 or 4 years at least between that scene and today.
Yeah.
If we're saying it happened before the war. Because we need the amount of time, I think it was like a 13, 14-month war. And then the year and a half or so between that and now. So say 4 years. Ray seems to be... Well, Ray went to a military
16.
academy.
Yeah, he's 16?
Depends.
I guess
depends on the minimum age of a military academy.
Oh, I mean, everybody else seems to be between the ages of 15 and 16. Chin, Luna Maria, her sister. So, yeah, this show, everybody who's a mobile suit pilotants, at least the ones that get named, tend to be trending young. So, you know, that's the whole point that Durandal was saying, oh, we shouldn't punish the young, right? They were teenagers that we sent to war, right? So let's say he was, what, 10? 11? No, he doesn't seem like that old of a child. He's like 7 or 8 years old. You know?
It's not that place. It's the other place.
What other place?
The space one. The one we were in season 1, the end of season 1. Then
yeah, that's Hibiki's.
Yeah, no, but it's not Hibiki. I think you're right, or I don't even said it. Sorry, it's been going through my head while you were talking. Maybe that is Rao. And that is the other place. That's why they look so young. And that explains no connection between Durandal and that thing. It's that it's the same faculty at 2 different locations. It's Durandal at the other location in space. No connection to the Earth forces. It's just they're imposing that Ray is seeing this because it's literally the same kind of facility. He's not having memories of being there.
That facility, the one where Kira and Mula Flaga went in, and Rao was like, "Oh, I'm the clone of your father." The
one in space,
right?
not the one down here.
Yeah, that was a Hibiki facility.
Yeah, so,
that was it.
That has nothing to do with what I just said.
Yeah,
that being Hibiki one, it wasn't a Hibiki facility. The Hibikis were working for a group, and they named named that group in the show, and I cannot remember it. They called them a bunch of crazy people, and they called them weird. Can't remember, and they were forced to abandon that location. So clearly they must have gone to Earth at some point.
Wait! But remember that Mula Flaga's dad.
Yeah, went to the Hibikis. I'm not debating the Hibiki point. I'm saying it has nothing to do with what I'm talking about. The only reason you're bringing up the Hibiki point was I think is because we mentioned that's not the Hibiki in that shot. Just because Hibiki's not in that shot has nothing to do with that not being there.
Yeah.
The only location I'm saying that's a cloning facility or that's a place for raising coordinators. And it's in space and it has something to do with Zaft, and that explains why Durandal would be there. Because there's nothing wrong with Durandal being there.
The thing was, I don't think that was actually was that originally a facility. Because here's the thing: Mula Flaga was not a coordinator, and it was his father who financed the clone that became Rao. These bunch of crazy people where crazy people like move La Flaga Senior, who had the money to pay for all this stuff. What if these are the same people that are also putting the money, the servants, the merchants of death that Durandal mentions, like, oh, they're making profit out of this.
Oh no, I don't. I think you're wrong on that one.
Behind logos.
I think you're wrong on that one because that doesn't make any sense for all the people that funded the creation of coordinators to then create Blue Cosmos. That's a
they
weird.
Might.
Why?
No, remember,
because they're angry that their investments didn't turn out right. That doesn't make any sense.
No, they lost control. They lost control of their creations. They meant the coordinators to be
okay. Here's what I'm going to say. I can see where you're going, and I could see a world where somebody would write that story. I think that is dumb shit. That you would be like, oh, we want all of our kids to be coordinators. Oh, this all fucked up and blew up in our faces, and then we lost control of it. Let's invest into the arms race, and we'll get that money back, or we'll make them pay for making us lose all that. That's a very dumb story. I would hate if it goes that way, but I can also see a world where you're right, and that's what they're doing, and I would hate that. I will hate this show. Look, I don't agree with you. I think...
I'm not saying you should. I'm just saying that...
I think at most that maybe the people left that space facility and then came here, and then the Earth forces repurposed them for some reason for this. Like, this is my specialty. This is all I'm good at. I'm going to keep on doing it. I've lost everything, and I'm going to keep doing this. Maybe that. Hell, maybe that was Kira's mom that we just didn't recognize, right? Maybe Mother was Mrs. Hibiki.
But I don't think she was a blonde, though.
I don't remember. No, you might be thinking of Mrs. Yamato. Mrs. Yamato is purple hair. I think Mrs. Hibiki has... I don't remember. I'm just throwing it out.
The one shot I remember... The only shot I remember of her was like she's behind, like against a glass or against a wall, holding her belly.
Well, there's that. There's the picture of her holding both the kids too. I think she's a blonde, but I'm not. Again, I don't care that much. I'm spitballing. Literally, this is one of those events in the anime where you can just start throwing shit at the wall. Anything is available now.
Well, you like to speculate, so we're speculating.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Is I think you may think that I care a lot about all the shit I say. I will verbal diarrhea out until I think I hit something that really sounds like it's right, and then I'll focus on that. Maybe that's Miss Hibiki thing. That's just more of that.
You're just covering your bets.
Well, no, I said it out loud to see if it felt right. Didn't feel right. Just let it keep going.
Yeah, could be someone else.
Well, I mean, that we don't know what happened to the Beakies, other than the things that people have pointed out that have been spoilers. I don't know. There's so much connection possible that we're at the point of like watching the first episode of an anime now, where everything is wide open, and we really need to start whittling down what is and what isn't.
Yeah. Well, we got another episode to go. Well, we have 25 more episodes to go, but
in today's recording, we got one more to go. Yeah. So I think we're going to go ahead and wrap up here, and in the next episode, maybe we'll get more clues. But for now, right now, I am Theta. Right now, this is Lessons. We've been Stoneface Reactions, and we will catch you next time. Bye-bye.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching another Stoneface Reactions. If you have an idea of another video we could go ahead and watch, go ahead and put it in the comments down below and we'll add it to the wheel. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let us know what you thought about this video, what parts you liked. And until then, we'll see you next time. Is this too goofy?